Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spideydude Experience. I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster and host of the podcast. And this time, we're going to be covering 4 issues in this episode. We got some news topics as well. But we want to thank you for watching and listening to the show. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our patrons at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Our Patreon subscribers, Rickman, Greg, Jurgen, Scott, and our 2 newest ones. I believe it's Kaylee and Phoenician. If you're seeing this on the page, sorry. Lost my place for a second there. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Find out more. You get some exciting perks before everybody else if you decide to participate in the Patreon. So Chad is getting shows like Voices from the Eyrie a whole week early and more. So we got some more stuff coming down the pipe. Cannot wait for you to experience it. As my pizza is apparently here.
Hi, I'm taking over for a bit. Hi, it's Neil. So while Zach deals with his dog problem, it's going to be a news day for us. We're talking about news a little bit, and hopefully that makes things better. Yeah, okay. So O'Banner's gone. Hi, it's me, Neil. Zach has gone to deal with his dog problem. So we have a kind of a laundry list of topics to talk about today. So we're gonna go nuclear and comiXology, Marvel Legends, the 60th anniversary stuff.
I'm back.
Some teases for new shows, and then finally the things you actually came to this show for: the reviews of Reilly Spider-Man number 2, Silk number 2, and Amazing Spider-Man number 90 and 91.
Yep.
Nope, stop. Nope, we've already done the intro. You've bunched it. Yeah, so after that, I'm kind of glad I was able to kind of pivot in there and kind of save the intro.
Yeah, sorry guys, give me just a second. I'm getting text messages too from my wife.
Okay, so I guess Zach is going away. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Because Zach kind of runs the show. Okay, so let's start by talking about the 60th anniversary. It's 2022. Spider-Man is turning 60. Normally that is a cause for celebration, but because we live in a time where brand apathy and cultural entropy is at an all-time high, I'm left with a shallow pit of a void in my stomach and my heart and my soul. So Spider-Man's turning 60. Yay. So I don't remember what exactly is happening. Hang on. But the event is titled Beyond Amazing, and that's how they're kind of marketing this celebration of Spider-Man's 60th anniversary. So let me pull that up right now. This was announced back in August, I guess. I wish I could find like some more recent stuff.
Sorry, guys.
Zach, this is all in September. All the Beyond Amazing stuff is coming from September. On Google.
What?
All the Beyond Amazing stuff is coming from 2020.
Yeah, because August is the actual month, but the initiative for the 60th is called Beyond Amazing, and so that's what they're branding this Spidey year, and apparently there'll be
it's a Marvel Unlimited special live virtual event. I guess it's going on over Zoom or something. But it's completely free to Marvel Unlimited Annual and Annual Plus members. It'll be free to whoever uploads it on YouTube. And it comes with with a Marvel Unlimited Annual Plus kit, which I guess includes a Marauders Kate Pride, a sword patch, Sinister War, and X-Men #1. And then we have a list of people who will be speaking at the event. So J.M. DeMatteis, Tom Brevoort, J. Michael Straczynski, John Romita Jr., Joe Quesada, Humberto Ramos, Dan Slott, Maureen Gu, Nick Lowe, CB Cebulski, and more.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big event. We'll try to cover it whenever it happens.
Probably won't be live because then I think we'll get taken down for like copyright infringement.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I don't think we'll be able to do it live. It'll be like a recap, a post game type thing.
Yeah.
So here's one show announcement, and I didn't make the banner for it naturally because I do want to give everybody a ASM Classics update.
Hey Zach, turn on the gain a little. You're coming in really loud and scratchy.
Okay, how about now?
Okay, that sounds a bit better. Yeah.
Well, I can't go down much lower because
it's better. I think we'll need to tune it manually after the show's over.
Probably. Yeah. All right. So, of course, that was that entire intro was a fail.
I'm kind of glad. I think I managed to salvage it because I got all the topics out of the way. But anyways, ASM Classics. So you know that guy named Javi? Well, he and his son Jack are reviving ASM Classics.
So we have an official date of when the first episode will drop.
It's March 22nd.
March 22nd is the official launch date for ASM Classics. Be sure to follow ASM Classics on Twitter for more show updates. But yes, it is officially official. I wanted to do this at the top of the show and let everybody know that ASM Classics is coming back, season 2, with Jack and Javi. Going back.
I made a new header for it, or a new thumbnail for it. I'm going to show it off because I'm kind of happy with how it turned out.
Yeah. So show that off, Neil.
I'm the graphics master. Hang on, I'm pulling it up. Oh. Sorry, I'm having to pull it up.
Yeah, share your screen.
So here's all the work we've been doing on that.
Yeah, the amount of work that we've been doing.
But this is the new Amazing Spider-Man Classics thumbnail for either the audio version or the I'm gonna probably make an extended version for depending on how we release it.
Right, it's gonna be.
Oh, it's audio only. Okay, good.
Until I can get the software necessary to make a version of it to where it will be compatible with YouTube, it will be audio only. It'll be on. Obviously, if you're already subscribed to ASM Classics, you don't need to do anything else. Just download the latest episode. If you're not subscribed, go to your favorite podcasting catcher and subscribe today.
Do it now. But yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff. This is all the Photoshop stuff I've done for the show and the network. So
yeah,
I've been busy.
Neil.
What?
I owe Neil lunch.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say aside from that? Just yeah, you do.
So, first news. I wished Javi would have been able to be here, but he's working, I think, tonight, so he wasn't going to be able to come on.
Yeah. But do we want to talk about Legends first, or we want to shit on COMIXOLOGY?
Let's do Legends first.
Okay, let's start with a good good topic.
If you want if you want to pull up the Discord and use the graphics in the Discord. By the way, if you have not hopped on the Discord yet,
where is it? Hang on.
Yes, Vinkman is right. 2000s era Masterworks vibes.
Yeah, I went there deliberately in that direction. I thought it was a very good way to take that thumbnail, especially because the older one, the one that the original show used was what was it? It was the early '90s Masterworks, right? Or the late 90s?
Kind of. The original show used the spine, and so then I kind of did a take of that spine design, and basically made that the graphics for each episode, remastered them.
Is it in toys or is it action figures?
It should be in action figures, yes.
Is it the Daily Raimi one? Oh no, it's the. Is it the Twitter link? Oh, is it the Shartimus?
No. I mean, Shartimus does talk about it, but the images should be in the Discord. Like,
oh, here we go. Okay, sorry. I thought there was like a link that you wanted me to share.
No. The images.
Oh, the original thumbnails were based on the omnibus. Okay.
Yeah, on the omnibuses. Yes. Excuse me. Sorry. So, Marvel Legends team finally had their first live stream of the year. Quite a few figures were announced. I didn't put them all in there, but the big one for us is the fan channel exclusive Rhino on the retro card. Now, Rhino was a Build-A-Figure. In fact, the same wave that had Scarlet Spider in it. This Scarlet Spider, in fact, I have it in nearby, handy dandy.
Don't you mean the Hobgoblin?
No,
the Hobgoblin replaced the Hobgoblin one that was in the box of the Spider-Man one. The one that you sent to the Facebook group.
Oh yeah, no, that's the current wave. That's the current wave that's out. This is but it's the retro card wave. The Rhino will be a fan channel exclusive. It joins the likes of the Kingpin because it's the oversized card. I think I had a picture of that. Yeah. So there's also that's the
Reverse Future Foundation, like the stealth mode of the Future Foundation suit.
Out of the Future Foundation.
More Rhino stuff.
This previous image, I think, right there. So that's him comparing the size of the card. So in one hand, if you're an audio listener, by the way, sorry about this. But in one hand, he's got the retro Spider-Man, and then on the other hand, he's got the retro Rhino, and the retro Rhino is in an oversized pack. They did a similar thing with the Kingpin Build-A-Figure a couple years back. And allegedly, there's rumors that the Lizard will be the next one to be done.
Neat.
But it's going to be at places like GameStop, ThinkGeek, but online retailers mainly.
But also, other figures we have are Speedball, Madam Hydra,
yes,
U.S. Agent, Maria Hill.
U.S. Agent. Now it's Maria Hill and Quake. So basically, they're going to. Yeah. So
I thought they were the same person.
No, one's a Maria Hill head and one is Quake.
I think this is Quake, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's Quake because of the gauntlets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 90s Storm, and that's it.
Yeah, that's of the new stuff, and they have the wave. I missed a couple. The new Iron Man, the current Iron Man run, he's finally getting that armor is getting a legend.
Oh, the Cantwell armor.
The Cantwell armor, yes.
Cool. That's awesome.
So a lot of people were griping about it, but I'm like, it's Iron Man. They need an anchor. They need to anchor one.
Yeah. All right. So okay, now time to shit on COMIXOLOGY. Let's go. Okay, so we're on week 4 of COMIXOLOGY's new UI, right?
So I had not, I guess, got the update yet. When we talked about this a couple weeks, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
The update. I finally got the update. It is absolutely, positively broken. And when I say broken, I mean the simple function of being able to click on what it is and be able to scroll down and click and say buy. And be able to simply go back to the previous page. And then go, so...
Oh, my mom has to let me go in. Go, keep bitching.
So, last week, you had Ben Reilly, number 2, that came out. you had ASM that came out. So I went and got ASM, and then I went back, or then I was like, all right, I'm going to go get Ben Reilly. It took me like 8 clicks, and I had to go back to start. For people that have used COMIXOLOgy was not broken. Basically, as we kind of alluded to last week, they're taking the UI of Kindle and integrating COMIXOLOgy into Kindle. The problem is that by trying to Voltron this, you took a already well-established base, and to save money, you just integrated it in and basically bulldozed the existing infrastructure. Doing this has absolutely, and I'm going to make myself big until he gets back, absolutely sucks. It's bad for the user. And we talked about last episode about how, you know, they took away the in-app purchase ability for iOS users, Apple iPad users, because they didn't want to pay the Apple tax, the 30% cut, which completely, from a business standpoint, I completely understood. I completely understood why they did it. However, them doing it and them doing this is so anti-consumer. It is absolutely, positively the worst thing that's happened to comics consumers since the pandemic. And I don't even blame the publishing side for the pandemic issues and the shipping issues and the publishing issues.
That's all on distribution.
This is the worst distribution situation since the pandemic. And outside of the pandemic, it is the worst distribution problem since the launch of COMIXOLOgy. Now, mind you guys, COMIXOLOgy was an independent company that was acquired by Amazon. This was inevitable to many people. But by doing this rollout is so bad. And then the UI to read the books,
even worse.
Instead of just, you know, using guided view, which has worked, it's what every comic publisher now uses as their guide when they're doing panel layouts now, is the guided view system. Instead of just leaving that alone, they had to F with that too. And so the user experience is significantly hampered because of this.
Do you think it's their attempt to kind of funnel people? Are you talking about the mobile version or the desktop version?
I'm specifically talking about the mobile version.
Desktop version's worse.
And that's what I've heard.
I don't even know where my books are. Like, I can't even access my own books on the desktop version.
This is the inherent problem of physical media versus digital media. The physical media element, and I know Vinkman's going to, be in the comments, cheer me.
He's running a victory lap right now.
Those of us that went digital, and I went both, around halfway through the Spencer run, really, probably around the time that I started doing the show, because I found a shop that I liked, and I go to that shop, and I liked that shop, and we ended up moving. It's one of the few things I miss about my hometown. There's about 4 things I miss that are outside of family, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm fine. This sucks for those of us that went digital. And the writing, to me, you want to kill a good thing for the consumer. Because what does everybody have in their pocket? All they had to do was leave it alone. And normally, I'm one of those that I'm like, all right, let it sort itself out. I am the guy that beta tests iOS and have for the last 3 years. So I'm all for new handy-dandy stuff. But when the user experience is decreased by your changes, you're doing it wrong. How this got out of beta is beyond me.
I think they're deliberately using it to screw with people. That's my little conspiracy theory. I think they're doing it on purpose. They're making it as inaccessible as possible.
No, I just think there's a bunch of incompetent morons at Amazon that have failed upwards. How this was good for how you could spin this to be good for the consumer. The president of COMIXOLOGY, came out. Oh, this is so exciting! We're going to be further integrating with Amazon. You already used Amazon Pay, and we're pushing everybody to use Amazon Payment prior to, for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
And we all, 5 years. Not even 3 years. It's been like 5 years. Whenever they got rid of the in-app purchase ability on iOS is when they basically were forcing everybody to Amazon payments. I don't know when that was. Off the top of my head. But to do that, to hurt the consumer, and try to paint this and spin this as it's a good thing, it's not. Amazon would generate a ton of goodwill. I don't know if this is a new Coke situation. I say that as I sip Coca-Cola. But I just, it is beyond me how this didn't work. Neil, you've used the desktop version. Kind of describe to the listeners how bad that is.
Okay, so imagine, I'm actually going to pull it up because it's kind of hard to describe it without it being like right in front of you, right?
Sounds good.
So, let's see, COMIXOLOGY. Okay. So just to make a point, COMIXOLOGY is no longer its own separate website. It's built into Amazon's own user interface. So not only does it rely on Amazon's UI, which is, I think, it's fairly well built on its own, but it isn't built for like accessing media that you own. Amazon's kind of taken this approach where, like, you have to have this apparatus to read products you've gotten on the main website, like, the Kindle app. No one can really. I've never heard anyone who like doesn't have like the Kindle app on their computer or their phone or their tablet and chooses to read off of the main website. But through COMIXOLOGY now you have to either have the app on your tablet, which is also bad and compounds the situation. But where was I going with this? I don't care.
The app is basically a reskin version of the Audible or Kindle app.
Yeah, it's basically just a Kindle app, but
and it just doesn't work. You can't make that work. People don't buy one book at a time with comics the way you do.
I buy in bulk. When there's a sale on COMIXOLOGY, I usually buy like 10 or 12 at a time.
Yes.
Then again, I usually buy physical, and I just use like the coupon that Marvel gives you in the back to redeem, so I don't have to go through that. But
the show I didn't know about. I didn't put the two and two together. And I realize now I should have been buying physical media all that time because there's like 200. I think I got like, I'll have to go back and look. I think I got like 1,000. I got like, outside of the number ones that I downloaded every one when they did that number one dump for free, where basically every number one issue you could get for free.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think I got like probably 800 comics. Some of them were weekly things, like the Smallville comic that they had that was the continuation of basically season
the season 10, right?
The season 11.
That's what I mean. Like, it's continuing off of season 10.
Yeah, it was continuing off of season 10, and yeah, which really well done by Brian G. Miller, I think is his name. Really great series. I'm actually looking forward to the animated series.
But yeah, I'm trying to find it. Like, so you can there's only one option, just buying it now with one click or adding it to the wish list. So that also takes away the problem. Like, you can't just add to your cart and buy in bulk now. You have to buy it now without an option. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael Reed.
And deliver to your Kindle library. So, like, now they're trying to integrate it. We talked about it on the last episode, but they're trying to integrate it now further into the Kindle system rather than its own separate system. Like, this is some weird attempt of compartmentalization, or not compartmentalization, consolidation.
Yeah, to consolidate it down, I can understand from a business standpoint. That way, you have one division that's controlling all of it. The problem is that comic books and physical books are two different things.
And so are prose books. No one, you can't optimize prose in the same way that you optimize comics.
No, you can't put comics are a round peg in a square hole. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it's anti-consumer. And that just pisses me off to no end. It pisses me off for you, the consumer, and me. It's beyond just me being mad about the situation because I am a consumer and I'm mad. It is, as somebody that has commentated on comics and things like that for the better part almost 15 years now. This year will be 15 years since I started podcasting. I started podcasting in 2006.
Nice.
And I've been commenting outside, honestly, uninterrupted. If you count, even when I had breaks from, like, when I was not on Crawl Space and I wasn't on Crawl Space, I was doing things like CSC. So I was still doing content. But so for 15 years I've been commentating on things of this. And this is the worst thing that's happened to consumers. I'm not going to say ever,
but it's like in the top 5.
I would say it's in the top 5. It's a botched rollout. It shouldn't have happened. And that's all I got to say about that. And Waylon's mad about it too.
Hi, Waylon.
Ruined
So
my
yeah.
end.
But the takeaway here is we are mad and you should be too.
I mean, this is to the point where people need to organize and mobilize and be like, almost to the point of, we need to get addresses and start mailing, not threats.
Matt's a little, Mr. Comics is a little scared. So we're mad about COMIXOLOGY, Mr. Comics.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to give a victory lap to the physical media folk, just because I feel like it's a little insulated and closed-minded to assume that just because it's digital, that means it's bad inherently. This is kind of a victory lap for them. I'm going to have to give it to them. They kind of called this.
No, look, the physical media people absolutely won. We've talked about this a little bit with on Mayday Monday, Make My Mayday. Sorry. On Make My Mayday, when we talk about, the Unlimited app and missing pages on the Unlimited app, you're at the mercy of Marvel at that point. And so it's not fair to those that just read digitally. In that case, they wouldn't have known unless you have somebody like us that stands up and says, no, this is wrong. And, Mr. Comics, by the way, check out his YouTube page. He is excellent. He's got some excellent content. He does some unboxing videos. He gets comics. I think he just had a Spider-Girl unboxing, I think, earlier this week, which was really great. I did check it out, Mr. Comics. I'm sorry I couldn't do it live. But, yeah.
And then Matt asked if you guys got the Clone Saga Chronicles finale.
Unfortunately, there were some scheduling conflicts, some scheduling snafus. We have not recorded the finale of CSC yet. When we do, I'm in fact going to be recording a small thing that I'm going to be putting out on that feed, just kind of getting people hyped up. Hey, we are doing a finale. I would like feedback and voicemails and emails. So if you want to leave us emails, leave us voicemails. If you want to talk about that on CSC, 818-925-6631. That is the voicemail line. If you want to leave a voicemail, just let us know. You can leave it for this show, any of the shows on the network, but especially if you leave it for CSC, let me know. So,
and then Michael Reed actually brings up a good point that realistically, physical isn't realistic in the long run when it comes to comics. It's too much to hold. Yeah, because I've recently expanded in the last 3 years. I've gone through 2 or 3 new long boxes, and I'm having trouble finding ways to store those. So
not everybody has the luxury of our mutual friend Brad of having a basement where you can have all your comics,
where they won't be disturbed.
Right. I mean, my biggest problem right now for me is space. I have this room, and I don't have easy accessibility to my comics right now.
I'm in my mom's office because we're in the middle of a renovation. I sent Zach pictures of my bathroom being gutted.
Yes.
But like now we're having to store things all over the place, and now I can't get to any of my floppies unless like I dig through pounds and pounds of
and that's where things like the drawer boxes are come in handy, but you have to have a spot for it. And it, as your box grows, therefore it becomes overly cumbersome. And
I would love to go to like a custom bookshelf.
I'll have a whole room to use once my kid moves out, and that's true.
True.
But I have one kid here part time right now, and
even then he's still having trouble getting to his comics.
Yeah, it's just the way that I have to have the room for the. And this, look, my desk that I have is literally the desk that I got when I was Gabby's age, that my dad built for me. And I'm still using it. It's survived like 10 moves. It's an absurd amount of time that I have. I've gotten every bit of usage out of this thing. But I right now I just and that's one of the reasons that I'm like so torn about Marvel Legends collecting. Is that I'm running out of room. That's why I literally have said to myself, I'm not doing anything but comics related Legends, and that's it. Like the Speedball I'm excited for. They don't. And that's the other problem. Because if they did, one of the issues that one of the worries long term that I have is how this subscription model, you don't own it, and how everything is going to a subscription based model because it's so profitable. Instead of charging people 99 cents for a song, we're willing to stream it for $7.99 a month.
Oh, so Matt asked a really good question. Do digital sites let you download the comics to your computer? They used to. So COMIXOLOGY, with the smaller publishers at least, like IDW and Image and Boom, they let you download either a CBR file, which can be used with a CBR reader, or they let you download a PDF, which can be used with any like Foxit or Adobe Reader, any PDF reader that you have. I think even Microsoft Edge. But they recently announced that any DRM-less, any comic that doesn't have a DRM is no longer available. So now that once those are gone, now there's obviously, unless you have the PDF already downloaded, they're gone. You can't download them anymore. So that's one of the major things that I had a problem with when they announced this transition to integrating with Amazon, with this lack of accessibility to a downloadable version.
That goes back to the anti-consumer element. You can't tell me that it's pro-consumer. don't paint this as something as nothing more than you wanting to consolidate assets for profitability. And I am a capitalist. Neil knows how much of a capitalist I am.
Other side.
Neil knows how much of a capitalist.
This is how smart capitalists are.
I want to flip you off right now.
But,
I am to you. I can literally drive to you right now.
No, I know.
But
anyways,
we'll have enough. Yeah.
I've had the same desk for 8 years. The one in my office, I've had that one since middle school.
It like Bingman says that's BS, and it is true, and it is crap. It is anti-consumer, and I feel like I'm hammering that point on, but it really is by not allowing people that had access to, and it makes the publishers look bad. It makes I have one of those DVDs as well, Michael Reed. It makes the publishers look bad. It makes because the consumers get upset. There's going to have to be some sort of organized effort for those that read digital comics, because basically now you're pushing people to piracy.
Sail on the 7 seas.
I mean, if I can go to a website illegally and download it and not have to worry about a shitty UI,
and you're not even paying for the actual comic itself. You're not, with a downloadable one that doesn't have a DRM, you're paying for a physical, essentially the equivalent of physical product.
Yeah.
But like you're paying for the license. Something to remember with digital is that you're paying for the license to have it. So that means if COMIXOLOGY decides, let's see, name a comic, Zach.
Savage Dragon.
Yeah, so let's say Savage Dragon gets a little too risque for COMIXOLOGY. This isn't like a censorship argument. This is more just like a hypothetical because Savage Dragon is kind of just porn at this point. But let's say Savage Dragon gets a bit too scandalous, and then COMIXOLOGY says, "Well, okay, we're taking it down. Bye bye." You can no longer access that issue,
like they do with books.
Yeah,
I mean they do this with.
Didn't they do it to 50 Shades back when it first came out?
50 Shades was a great example. I mean, there was
Twilight, I think.
Like the bestsellers lists also. If you are, I heard a story about how, I know you don't like him, but Glenn Beck's latest book, the numbers that they got, like, versus what the New York Times bestseller numbers were, they wouldn't even put him in number 1, even though they put him at number 10, although he had outsold the rest of them. And it just is, that type of stuff is petty and comical, whether you like the guy or not. And there's a lot of people that don't, and that's fine. We
have a Twitch viewer. Holy shit. That's one more than we had on Twitter ever.
We had more on Twitter with Make My Mayday than we did. And there's actually, the last few times that we've been on Twitch, we've actually had one consistent Twitch viewer. So thank you to the Twitch viewer.
Thank you, random Twitch viewer. We salute you.
Be sure to comment in the comment box, and we'll
put it up.
We will put it up. I was expecting Adam to be here, so we're going to have Adam. We're going to have Paul here.
Okay, listen. I say we just charge ahead and talk about at least 2 of the books.
Let's talk about Silk.
Okay.
Let's do Silk first, and then if the guys get here, we'll do Ben Reilly, and then ASM.
Okay. So I'm going to go over it a little briefly. I don't want to get too into the weeds about it.
All right. I'm going to give you the solo layup, buddy.
Okay. So Silk number 2, written by Emily Kim, art by Takeshi Miyazawa, and colors by Ian Herring. So in the purview of, kind of having a midlife crisis at 25, I feel that one. Cindy's trying out some new thing. She's trying clay sculpting or pottery kilning or whatever it's called. What is it called, Zach? It's just pottery making, right?
Kneading.
Yeah, okay. No, Venkman, I am not going to try and kill anybody with Adele. I don't think I have that. I don't think anyone has that high of a pain threshold. So Cindy kind of is in the middle of a rut again, trying to focus on this crazy mystery that she had that she found about these social media influencers getting their life force drained and becoming old. And she gets 2 tickets for a Luna Snow concert. For those of you who don't know, Luna Snow is a K-pop star in universe, who I believe first debuted in the Marvel Future Fight game. But she and Cindy have history being on the Agents of Atlas together. So Cindy goes back to the museum and learns more about the special lady from the coffin from last issue, a Korean shaman known as a Manyeo. Is that how you pronounce it? Manyeo? Zach's muted. So.
I think so.
But anyways, she gets an exposition dump about how their power works, and has a conversation with Jonah about these social media influencers to get her, and Jonah presses her to get more information. And during a coding boot camp class, her phone goes off, and she bonds with her teacher Ivan, and asks him out on kind of a something date to the Luna Snow concert. And while Luna is on stage, she is attacked by the Manyeo and her her henchmen. I don't know what you call cyber powered or magic powered terracotta soldiers. But she runs off to save the day and leaves Ivan behind. And through a really cool and really fast-paced team up, they save the day, and Cindy goes backstage to hang out with Luna in the aftermath. Only for Cindy to realize, oh wait, I left my date in his chair, and she finds out he's already left long before. And back in, I guess, the hideout, the bad guy's hideout, the Manyeo says that, well, shit, I didn't get Luna Snow, but hey, this Silk character could be the one to replace the life force I was going to steal from her. So hopefully Zach gets back here soon, because I want to have discourse with somebody, and Adam's not here yet, or Paul. But I kind of talked about it on Satellites on Crawl Space, but Silk is a better book than ASM right now. I give Silk an A, and I want to expand upon that later. But I'm kind of hoping Zach gets back here soon. So I buy digital once in a while and only read it for convenience. I still buy a physical copy to read and collect. See, that's what I do. There's a couple of runs that I have digital exclusive, but mainly I have all my stuff in physical. So I support this. Oh, Zach's back. Hi, Zach. You're muted.
I muted myself. Sorry. I was dealing with the dogs.
Vickman was saying to just talk about Transformers until you get back.
Listen, Vickman, no. I said no.
Listen, if we want to have Jesus, was it Chokeslam?
Yes, I mean Chokeslam was this. It was
grab a throat and then toss it down.
You're thinking more rock bottom, which is a variation of the Chokeslam, but you know.
If we want to have if we want to have Jesus Chokeslam Satan, we'll just watch Transformers the movie. So, anyways,
a plan for the Autobots.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, so you want to talk about Silk a little bit, because you said you read it, right?
I did. I enjoyed it. I have enjoyed Silk. Silk for the last decade has been the biggest surprise book for me. Because
Slott started her off and she was garbage, but then she rebounded.
And then the Thompson run kind of redeemed her. And I remember...
I was begging you to read it. I'm like, please.
You were begging me to read it, and then, you know, we started doing Satellites, and I started reading it then. And I was happy to be wrong. I kind of view Silk the same way I view Miles. I was very skeptical. You go back in 2011, and it's not aged well, but I thought it was just a giant stunt when they killed Ultimate Peter off, and they were going to replace him with a Black Hispanic kid. I mean, that was their big thing. That was their big push that year at Comic-Con, was the relaunch of Ultimate Comics. And basically, Marvel was caught completely flat-footed. That was the same year as New 52. New 52 sucked up all the air out of the room, comics-wise.
In retrospect, that was kind of a waste of sucking up the air, but
it was, but it was such a bold thing
at the time. Yeah,
they've relaunched 3 times since then. So unfortunately, I think everybody thought that the New 52 was going to be the equivalent of this generation's Crisis. I think that's what everybody thought. And then, there was people that legitimately started buying because of New 52.
I started buying. Unfortunately, I'm one of the people who started buying because of New 52. But
you had also a lot of people that were turned off by the New 52. So I just recall being super skeptical and then being pleasantly surprised. Mine was the shot in the arm.
This was Pacelli's first big break, right?
Yeah, and we'll talk more about her in this episode.
God damn. Okay.
Don't know what happened.
But anyway, Silk.
Yeah.
Thoroughly redeemed. I think she's... You want to hear a hot take, Zach? This is probably going to be like an actual controversial one. I think Silk better reflects Spider-Man now than Spider-Man does.
Ooh.
Would you like me to elaborate on this?
No, because I think I understand what your point is. Because Silk for so long has been able to do more street level, grounded stories. And for the past 5 years,
Peter's been stuck in the revolving door of mysticism and Spider-Verse bullshit.
Like as much as I enjoyed the Spencer run, it was Spencer's run was bombastic without beating you over the head. And it felt like it was bombastic, but in character. Kind of felt like a little bit like the DeFalco Friends era or the Stern era on ASM. Mixed with the JMS era and the JMD Mateus era on Spider-Man. Speaking of which, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But what I was trying to say when I say that Silk embodies more of classic Spider-Man than Spider-Man does, I think that Silk has that perfect balance of drama and balancing the personal life and the work life and the superhero life that Peter hasn't really had to deal with since pre-Slot.
No,
and it does it much better than the Brand New Day era. So they haven't done the classic Spider-Man balance, the golden triangle, as we'll call it, of how to balance Spider-Man as a character since JMS. And I think that Silk has picked up that pedestal since. Yeah,
and I would even argue really before the reboot, the Mackie
Burn.
Yeah, because you think. I've been doing a lot of listening to the archives of our shows. So I've gone through and I've listened to almost all of CSC over the last 2 weeks. I have 12-hour shifts, so I got a lot of time. And Spec Radio as well.
But sorry.
So for me, I've been going back listening to a lot of these old books. Especially in the back half of the Clone Saga, like Mackie's run was very grounded and gritty and street level, and we haven't had that since then. They tried to do it in the Mackie Burn reboot, but it just didn't work because there was too many other problems going on, and by that point, Mackie was so burnt out that he had no business being on the title anymore.
Yeah.
And we kind of got a little bit of that with Peter as a teacher and stuff like that.
But we never went really back because they focused a lot more on Peter and MJ kind of had repaired their relationship by then, and like Aunt May was in on the bit, and you never got that kind of triangle of like Peter having to balance the secret in his personal way as he did before the Mackie Byrne reboot.
I view the JMS run and the Spencer run similar in one regard, in that they were trying to rebuild the character of Peter Parker and a select few characters out with it. I think Spencer used the supporting cast much better than JMS did. JMS didn't know how to use the supporting cast, period.
He had MJ and May there, and that was kind of it, and their roles were fairly I don't want to say one note, but they were fairly limited in how they were utilized.
Basically, you had to bring in other writers to handle supporting cast. Peter David, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, Mark Millar. They handled the supporting cast, but JMS didn't. Spencer did. Slott, to his credit, tried to do supporting cast, but it was the one that he created, not anything existing. And so it becomes one of those things where what I feel, and my point being, is that Silk right now can get grounded, is grounded, can be grounded, has that creative freedom to be that way.
Yeah, because she doesn't have the editorial burden of being the golden goose, so they can be a bit more loose and have a bit more fun with the concept.
Yeah, because basically right now Silk and Black Cat, to another extent, kind of represent that ground reality stuff. And
it's funny because like Cindy's Rogues Gallery at this point is, well, it used to be Black Cat, but now they focus a lot more on like these mystical villains, and it's weird because like in spite of that, Cindy's Rogues Gallery feels a lot more down to earth than like the Beyond Corporation or Kindred or all the stuff that they've tried to push on Peter since 2010.
One thing that I'm noticing about the Wells run upcoming,
they're really going back to that street level stuff with like Digger and Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone, Digger,
White Rabbit.
That stuff right there. And look, if they played to Romita's strengths, street level stuff is it. Gritty stuff is it.
But no one cares about Digger.
Dude, I can't remember what group I was in today on Facebook. Somebody's like, Digger was my first issue. I love Digger. And I'm like, well, he returns in April. Congratulations, buddy. I didn't dislike Digger. The only thing I remember about Digger was that bendy leg cover, poster cover that Romita Jr. drew that I made fun of to his face.
Romita Jr.'s face?
Like I made fun of it on the Spider-Man message board.
Oh, when he was on it. Okay.
He looked at it and he goes, yeah, it kind of looks a little rubber bandy. My bad. And so when he ended up doing the cover again, like a similar cover, the leg was not nearly as angular.
Yeah.
The second time, which and I think it was like 3 years later, and I would have tweeted him now. But yeah, I just think that Silk right now can be, just feels, and between Silk and Miles, those two really are the classic Spider-Man characters, but done in a different take and a different spin.
I don't even Miles is kind of stuck in like this weird pit of trying to have to like reinvent the wheel. Like they did another Clone Saga. They haven't like exploring the multiverse now. He's tied to the Beyond Corporation stuff because Ahmed's on that. But like now he's kind of abandoned the street level stuff. He's gone full into the Beyond Corporation stuff. Cindy's the only one who's ever doing any street level things now. That's what surprises me.
Especially with like when you have an event like Devil's Reign going on, where you have Ben as Spider-Man involved,
and all the street level characters are at their peak there.
they're all there. They're all in part of it, but you don't see it reflected right now in the books.
Yeah, Miles is on the street. Is on street level stuff. He's fighting the Thunderbolts on the street, but then in his own solo title, he's off like exploring the multiverse. I don't know who's he fighting right now. The Assessor.
Yeah, he's fighting the Assessor, which again, a big giant meta arc. I don't dislike Ahmed as a writer. I just feel like that Miles in the 616 just does not work.
He needs to go back to Ultimate.
Like it's trying too hard to make it work. It was a mistake to bring him in. You literally basically wrote an entire event to basically bring Miles in. That was like one of the big key moments of the event was Miles is now part of the 616.
And he's not really done a whole lot with it. It's kind of
they haven't done anything with it. And
they put into their own continuity. Like the Brian Edward Hill annual tried to explain it, and it still kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like they're still writing this fence of whether or not he remembers or not. But
yeah,
but like, oh, sorry.
Because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had a mandate. They were being forced to do it, and so they're
hell driven to just get it done no matter the cost.
Exactly.
But like one of the things that I appreciate is what you doing? Oh, you're talking to Sarah?
Yes, Sarah was asking me where the dogs were.
Okay. But like I bring up like the Cindy's the kind of successor to the Peter Mantle thing. No, sorry, I'm gonna wait until. So, anyways, how about that new Transformers line? I think they're coming with a new line. There's a cartoon now. Zach just left. All right. But let's see. Yeah, they're making a new Earthborn Transformers. I think that's kind of a cool idea. I think Alita 1 is a main character. I think that's actually kind of a neat idea because I think Alita 1's always kind of been in the background, but it's fun to see her kind of be in a main role. I'm sure they'll have Optimus Prime be a main character at this point, but I'm hoping that Alita 1 gets a lot more spotlight because I think she's a very underutilized character, particularly in her relationship to Optimus. I think Bumblebee's there. I don't care. I'm tired of Bumblebee. I don't even care that he's is a Camaro now. I think that's actually kind of a cool change, but But let's see. So Zach isn't here, and I'll reiterate this when he gets here. But one of the main problems I've had with Spider-Man is that they mainly view Zach's. They don't not Zach's. They mainly view Peter's double life as something of an editorial burden, in my opinion. Hang on, I gotta send Adam the link. God damn. Okay, one second, guys. Not sure if you can hear the dogs howling downstairs, but yeah. Okay. But they seem to view Peter's personal life as something of like a burden for him to overcome. And one of the things that I think makes Cindy work is that Cindy has a personal life, a work life, and a superhero life. And Zach's back. Okay, hang on, Zach, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm sending. Crap. Where's the link to the StreamYard? Did you send it to them? Because Adam's asking for it.
Yes. No, I did not.
Okay. So I was explaining that one of the things that I Oh, hang on. A friend of mine just finished putting together Flame Toys Fury model IDW Megatron and made me think of you. Cool. Is it the Autobot Megatron from the Transformers comics or? But anyways, one of the things I was mentioning before you came when you were gone is that one of the things that I think appeals to me about Cindy is that modern Spider-Man writers tend to view Peter's personal life as a burden that they don't want, that they have to work around in order to write. But Maureen Gu and Maureen Gu, Emily Kim, and Takeshi Miyazawa acknowledge that Cindy has that personal life along with her work life and superhero life. And I think that goes a long way to show that Cindy has to make those sacrifices. Like, she has to ditch her date, and a date that she blew off work for, not blew off, but she chose to kind of put that in the back burner to have fun for a bit, and then had to sacrifice that in order to team up with Luna Snow to fight the Manyo. I thought that was a really good, and Cindy feels really bad, and like she's coming up and like her date's seat is empty, and she's like, how do people balance this? How do people do this? And I thought, wow, that's a question that Spider-Man hasn't asked in years.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just assume like, Spider-Man should be an expert at this, but he's not. And I feel like that's an opportunity for Peter to ask.
He would be if he was allowed to progress.
That's what I'm saying is that I'm glad that that Cindy is getting to. I'm kind of getting to relive Spider-Man's beginnings.
Yeah, and because of the obsession with Spider-Man in youth, I had said for a while there, you could finally get away from trying to do the swinging single Peter Parker, because you had Miles. That's the only justification right now for Adam Shingle, ladies and gentlemen.
Adam Beyond. But I appreciate that Cindy has to, that the writers don't view Cindy's personal life as a burden that they feel weighed down by. The ASM writers have always wanted to kind of get Peter into the suit all the time, without having to expand on his supporting cast. Oh, what was that, Zach?
Well, I was just gonna for Adam.
He did it, yay! But also they value the secret identity bit. Like, secret identities kind of mean nothing except to Spider-Man and Daredevil these days. And even then, the writers seem kind of, like I said, weighed down by Peter Parker. They just want to do Spider-Man stuff.
I get it, because the MCU doesn't do secret identities, but the reason that I think that No Way Home resonated with so many people was that Peter's secret identity was intact, and Peter basically was so far back to basics, where he is this down on his luck young man trying to get through life, and he doesn't have all the trappings. You know what I mean? And
Peter Parker suffering, we love to see it. I'm joking.
I do, and I understand the sentiment of what everybody's saying about, oh, it's Peter Parker suffering. No, it's Peter Parker struggling, and I think that there's a subtle but profound difference. Suffering means more malice, whereas struggling means to me more relatability.
Yeah, but to me, I feel like
see that here.
Sorry, what?
That's my point. That's the point I was trying to make.
But to me, I feel like Miyazawa and Kim value Cindy's secret identity. You can tell when during fight scenes when Cindy's suited up that the colors are very subtly different, and how Cindy presents herself are completely different people. I think it's a great way to show that, like, Cindy and Silk aren't necessarily two different people, but Cindy has a life outside of being Silk, and I think that showing that duality is very important. Yeah, Matt put it kind of perfectly. Peter Parker struggles while Daredevil suffers. That's pretty apt. I mean,
there's very much that is probably the most apt way of putting it.
But to me, I feel like I guess to kind of round it out, Silk gets an A, and I think that Cindy kind of exemplifies the best of classic Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Than Peter does at this point, and that includes all the knockoffs.
Andy Leland does put it best. You come for Spider-Man, but you stay for Peter Parker.
Yep. So do we want to move on to Ben Reilly?
Yeah, let's do Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly.
I spent too much time on Silk because he kept getting up, so that's on me.
That's not on you. That's on me.
All right, so I'm gonna take down the banner or the ticker. Anyway, so
What?
let's talk about Ben Reilly. Oh, I don't know. It just kind of got annoying. You want to put it back up?
I mean, if you want to edit it, you can. You have the power. Anyway,
I do.
so Ben Reilly, I'll do the rundown on this one.
Yep.
Gian DeMatteis, David Baldeon is the artist. The colorist is Israel Silva. VC's Joe Caramaga is the letterer. Steve Skaros and Dave Stewart did the cover artists. Dan Jurgens, Brett Breeding, Alex Sinclair, David LaFuente, and Jim Campbell did the variant covers. If you're looking at the thumbnail on YouTube, we use the
we use the Dan Jurgens cover because the Steve Skaros cover is absolute garbage.
No, it isn't.
I can't stand the Steve Skaros cover.
Dude, Corbin looks like he has
Awesome
AIDS.
cover.
I don't. Yeah. Anyway,
AIDS.
Humanity Agenda Part 2. Where Thy Sting is the name of the book. We open right where we left off last issue with the sting of the scorpion in Ben Reilly's apartment. Basically, he taunts him, and they start chasing. So, the scorpion gets, is being chased by Ben Reilly, and it turns up he's at Shea Stadium. Now, for those that aren't aware why Shea Stadium is a significant event, this is basically essentially the birthplace of Ben Reilly's existence in the sense of where his path diverges from Peter's. So, he talks about where Ben Reilly's born. So there's a big fight scene, and Ben is not holding back. He is beating the tar out of Scorpion. And so eventually it gets to a point where Scorpion, there's a wife and children in the way, and instead of Ben dodges this car being thrown at him, he was, being Scorpion's like, I wasn't aiming for you. And so then Ben, big splash page, stops the car, attempts to stop the car, and it nearly crushes him, and then Scorpion then stings him.
Real quick, Mr. Comic said he was so lost in this until the end. I kind of get that, but I didn't feel very lost. But you have to kind of pay attention during the whole thing.
Yeah. So it turns out this is all being recapped by Ben Reilly to Ashley Kafka. And he's like, I don't know how Scorpion got out, but Scorpion got out. Well, Ashley goes, he's in his cell. Like, he never left. So then we kind of talk about, how they talk about how everybody's under constant surveillance. And, Ben's kind of skeptical. And he's like, well, it could have been the Chameleon. And Ashley's like, no, he's in Ravencroft. And for those that don't know, at this point in time, Chameleon was almost rendered catatonic after the Pursuit storyline. And he really wouldn't start having anything happen to him forward momentum-wise until after DeMatteis came back to Spectacular. So, anyway, Ben then goes by Edward's office and scares the living daylights out of him because he's like, isn't everything digitized at this point? Basically, Ben apologizes to how he treated Edward, and he's like, I gotta go. So, we have two women that are out on a date, looks like, and they're having a good time when all of a sudden their hand turns blue and they disappear. So there's obviously these string of serial killings that are going on, and this is kind of
I think they call it the first date murderer.
Yeah, the first date murderer, exactly. So we then Peter and MJ are in Portland, so this takes place during in between Sensational Number 0 and the Return of Cain arc. For those of you that want continuity buffs that are wanting to know when exactly this takes place, Ben is going up to Aunt May's house, and he's having some flashbacks to the life, and even has a flashback to Aunt May dying. You mean the actress, right? Because that wasn't Aunt May.
I think it should be Aunt May.
It should have been Aunt May, but it's not. It's the actress that played Aunt May.
Thanks, editorial.
So we then get some floating heads of guilt of Betty Brant, who was dating Ben Reilly at the time, if you recall, in the final unlimited issue of the Clone Saga. And Ben's kind of talking about, saying goodbye, and John Diaz ends up bumping into him. But he decides that he's going to, start forging his own path. So he invites Edward to a movie. They went and saw The Day the Earth Stood Still and Forbidden Planet. It was a double feature. And Edward enjoyed it. And then, of course, John Diaz, who we were introduced to last issue at the coffee shop, and Ben invites him too. So they went and go grab dinner at the corner diner.
I love how we're calling it the coffee shop instead of the Daily Grind.
The Daily Grind, yeah.
Remember, guys, there was a time when you could afford to rent in New York on a barista's salary.
Apparently,
you need to have 5 of those now.
So Ed, gets a very catatonic look on his face. Ben kind of knows what's going on. Then all of a sudden, Octopus shows up. Yeah, but it's not who you think it is. No, it's not Otto Octavius. It's Carolyn Trainer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I love how we're all just doing the sound effect. Yeah, you get that button, man. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, I'm gonna hit that button. So he's got Edward in his clutches. Humanity Agenda Part 3: The Lady and the Spider. Then there's the Iraq notes. Where Danny Kazem telling you about the era, taking you back to the era of the Clone Saga. Basically, he talks about Ben Reilly, the Spider-Man Lost Years, the Spectacular Spider-Man 229, and Redemption, and then Peter Parker Spider-Man 75. So if you've not read those issues, I highly encourage you to go read them because they are definitely influenced in this issue. All right, so Betty Brant dating Ben was a Spider-Man Jeopardy answer in 2010. Yes. So, okay, what's everybody's thoughts on this particular issue? We'll start with Adam. What's your grade?
It was an A for me.
Straight A?
Yeah.
Straight A for Adam. Tell us why.
Let's see. I just thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic, really. The art, DeMatteis' writing, I don't know. It's just... It's still got a lot of exposition like the last one did, but I think it works really well because it's mostly just it's exposition over a big battle. So the art shines, and then we get kind of caught up again with Ben's history if you're a first-time reader and you don't totally know anything about the character other than him being in Beyond currently. You know what I mean? So
right. And it's very much in the vein of back in the Clone Saga too.
Right.
Every issue was the exposition.
And I liked that the narration for the big fight was kind of conversational, because he's telling Kafka about it, and she's like, "Well, how did this make you feel? Why are you thinking this?" and all that. He's like, "Well." And because he says oh, this isn't supposed to be a therapy session. She's like, well, why did you come here then, or whatever? I thought that it's a fun conversation. It works. It worked really well for me. I think the weird killer person there's an interesting mystery there. Because they seem to be some sort of shapeshifter, but we don't know who this person is. I'm looking forward to seeing who it is. I liked Ben making friends. I thought it was touching. He's got some misfit friends now that are more like him than he initially thought, and I just thought that was kind of heartwarming and nice to see. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't boring for me. It wasn't tedious. It wasn't it didn't feel like too much. It just felt really good to read and really good to look at.
All right, we go to Neil. What's your grade?
I give it an A-. So Adam kind of touched on it earlier, but he kind of talked about the first date murder mystery thing. It's an interesting mystery, but I kind of wish it had a bit more to do with the main storyline. DeMatteis only has 5 issues right now. He's got to kind of play his cards smart and kind of mix it in a little bit. And so far, there's no connection to how Ben factors into this. It's a little weird, and it kind of falls into the problem of the sliding time scale, where like
Right.
cell phones and iPads kind of exist in the, it's like, oh, the Twin Towers still there? Are they still there? Or does
Yeah.
Juggernaut not destroy those? And
Yeah.
then laugh about it, because r/poorly aged things. There you go. That's your number one right there.
Yeah. Before even the Blind Sheik terrorist attack too. If I recall correctly, I thought that was published in '90, and I don't think the first Trade Center bombing was until '92 or '91. So
Juggernaut was 96. I think.
What?
Juggernaut was 96, 1996. I think when Juggernaut knocked down the World Trade Center.
It was the last McFarlane issue.
Oh, was it?
It was a crossover with X-Force.
Okay.
And that's what it was.
But,
it was the last it was literally the last time McFarlane drew Spider-Man, other than that Overstreet comic Overstreet guide.
Okay. But anyways, I kind of get where Mr. Comics is going with the kind of confusing bit, with the non-linear storytelling and a bunch of jumping to other plot points. I think does get a little confusing if you're not paying really close attention like we did. We kind of got it, but I can understand why someone who's not like, putting 110 into it can kind of get a little lost. I do like the mystery of how Scorpion was there, but also still in his Ravencroft cell. We've kind of had that storyline before, but I'm hoping David Mateus does something interesting with it.
One worry about this story. In the back of my brain, I am worried that there's going to be one character behind all this.
It's Kafka.
No.
Oh.
I think it'll be interesting if real
quick.
You
want to know what my theory is?
Hold on, let me say something real quick, because one thing I think that these villains might somehow tie into this killer person, but we'll see.
Either going to get that as our new created character, or, and this makes me shudder to say, I'm worried that Judas Traveler is going to show up.
Oh.
Because from the Crossfire storyline that took place
around the same time, right? Yeah.
Spider-Man 59, between that appearance and then his final appearance ever, other than Flashback, he never showed up. And he was a big part of the early Clone Saga, and DeMatteis loved the character.
I can't wait for the redemption of Judas Traveler, personally.
Shit, Adam, you just jinxed it.
I'm worried that Judas Traveler may be a thing, and I know people in the comment. We literally lost 2 viewers as soon as I said the words Judas Traveler.
This is your fault.
3 viewers. Oh God. All right. This is
okay. Move on. Anyways, yeah. So this is kind of relying on us on following us on Twitter, but let's give a shout out to David Baldian, who went out of his way to reply to Zach on Twitter on his thread.
Mm-hmm.
Baldian, even though there's a couple of panels where he's a little loose with anatomy, I think at his core, he understands how to tell a story and how to tell a story with Ben Reilly at the center.
Oh God, this is so good. And I sent this to Gerard because besides you, he's my artist guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I said, take a look at this, and he goes, that was really fun to read.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the thread up on Twitter. Hang on.
So I retweeted it. Follow me at Spideydude Radio on Twitter. That's when you get frequent show updates as well.
So one of the things that I think gave me this impression is that Baldian kind of did a play-by-play of how he lays out his panels and like specific emotional beats that he lays in there to tell the story without dialogue needed. And I think that like this page right here, like he says, like he explains like the emotional state that Ben is in. He just explains it as guarded, defensive, and at the same time ready to snap. I think that's an excellent way to like tell the story without needing any dialogue.
Yeah, and you gotta realize this is again between Sensational Zero and the Return of Kane. So there's a 4 or 5 months of, or no, well, because Peter and MJ, they left for Portland and they were gone for about 4 months, long enough for the Final Adventure miniseries to come out, and then this is around the time that Dan Jurgens came in, very much to fanfare, helped introduce Ben, reintroduce, launch the title, and then subsequently, not even a month later or 2 months later, was like, Peter needs to be back in the costume. This is stupid. And was the catalyst for the return of Peter Parker. This is just the stuff that's in this thread is so good. And I can't tell you enough that you need to go read it. If you're an audio listener, go find him. What is his Twitter handle?
At David_Baldian. And something I appreciate is that like he at the end of the thread after this gif of whoever, he makes a point that like it's not all him, it's also DeMatteis. But I want to say this to Mr. Baldian if he's listening to this, and I don't know if he is, but if he ever listens to this. A writer can kind of tell you what to do, but it's your job to put it to paper. And in my opinion, you've gone above and beyond in that duty. That sounds a little LARPy, but it's your job to tell the story as much as it is DeMatteis's, and you did that in spades.
I went back and listened to our old episode on CSC when we did the final Yoast issues. And
the Craven ones, right? That Baldian did.
Craven arc, and then the last 2 issues, which were.
Did Baldian do the?
That was his stuff with Kane. Because that's what I mentioned. I said, yeah, he also drew stuff with Kane as well, so he's not unfamiliar with the clones. The problem was that there had to have been some production issues, and it was not Baldian's fault. His artwork was good there. It is so good here, though. You can see if you look at those Kane issues 24 or 21.
They are messy.
They are a mess. I went on a full-blown rant about it on infamous rant on Crawlspace about how bad those 2 issues were. But it wasn't because of the artwork. It was because of just the production of the books. At that point, you had 2 writers in there. You had Yost scripting or plotting, and then he had Eric Bantham was doing the scripts.
But I also want to point out one thing real quick is how clean Baldian's line work is in here. One of the things that I hate about like Brett Booth or Todd McFarlane is how much shit is going on in their panels. In panels like this, and there are certain issues I have with like how cartoony it is, and that's a stylistic choice, not like an anatomy thing. Mm-hmm. But I can tell what's going on. There is nothing that makes me. There's no extra shit like Jim Lee stuff being thrown at the panel to imply detail. All the detail that you need is right there.
Yeah, and I really you look at those lines. Every panel has a focal point. Yes,
especially this splash page. I went out of my way to like. I messaged Zach when I was doing the audio thumbnail for the episode that we talked about this issue, and I was like, I'm never doing something like this again because of how hyper detailed. Like the webbing in this section right here took me about an hour to sort out because I was using my old laptop and didn't have my mouse with me.
Right,
but like it's detailed without being excessive.
Yeah, we need to make that clip art and make that like a thing on our Discord too. To where you could like use that as a reaction.
Yeah.
But no, I really Baldian, if he wants to come on the show, he's more than welcome to.
I would love to pick his brain and see like his creative process.
Exactly.
But anyways, let's talk about the psychiatrist dresses a rock star.
Yep.
What is the human condition?
Do you think we'll ever love Spider-Man again? I think they do.
I think Marvel loves Spider-Man, that he makes them shitloads of money.
I look. I'm willing to give Wells the benefit of the doubt. Issue 2's cover notwithstanding, like I'm like, okay, I'm in.
He seems to enjoy the street level stuff, which we've been missing for. I even mentioned in my Silk review that we've been missing street level stuff for a very long time. I don't know if Marvel doesn't love Spider-Man more like we as fans love the Spider-Man we have idealized and don't like any change to him. Yeah.
That's a very broad generalization.
And it's a very, I don't want to say accusatory stance, but it's very loaded.
There is a segment of the fandom that likes their version of Spidey, and they don't like anything deviating from it. Look, on one hand, this Ben Reilly we're getting in Beyond is not my Ben Reilly. It's not. But I've enjoyed most of the issues up to this point. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's not my Ben Reilly. The thing that I like about this version that we're reading in the Ben Reilly J.M. DeMatteis series is that it is my Ben Reilly. This is my Ben Reilly. It feels like my Ben Reilly. It looks, it moves. Paul Dionne did a great job. I'm giving this as well. I think I'm going to echo Adam. I'm giving it an A. I feel like we're probably going to get a lot of answers next issue. According to solicitations, I think next issue is the issue where things kind of start picking themselves up. I think I gave last issue an A. So to me, and I will eventually have a whole spreadsheet of O grades for our show.
Sorry.
I loved this issue. This is a great issue. Go out and buy it, so that way we get more.
And I want to talk about the solicits, not immediately like the solicits in full, but like to go back to like Silk and Ben Reilly, the solicits have actually been like really on point. Like I think the core thesis of Silk, like I was talking about, like having the sacrifice bit in her life right now. Like the solicit says, she can only have 2 of the 3 things that she needs to do today. Like have her date, team up with Luna Snow, or I forgot what the third one was, but like she can only have 2. And I really liked that the solicits are not just like the universe is going to change forever. Galactus is going to blow up Earth, but it's just like very personal, low scale stakes. And I kind of wish I'd mentioned that in my Silk review, but it applies to Ben Reilly, where like DeMatteis' solicits aren't like super vague, like the universe is going to change forever, but it gives you just enough to kind of go, ooh, I kind of wonder what's going on in this issue. I kind of want to pick that up.
DeMatteis has 40 years of comic writing experience behind him.
Yes, but I'm just saying that part of that also comes down to editorial having their act together.
Yeah, and I'll say this: look, if Judas Traveler shows up, I will be like this. I don't. My least favorite character, the Clone Saga. So
just give him a chance.
I think it's impressive that we're just to say this. To whoever the 7 to 12 viewers who keep popping in and out, thank you very much for sitting through our rants about comic books.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that. I mean, this is a lot of fun.
Anyways, more rants about comic books.
Main event. Let's talk about ASM 90, Legacy number 891. Neil,
sorry.
You've got the rundown of this one.
Okay, I'm going to recycle a few bits from my crawl space review because they were pretty funny. Not the Adele bit, but you should listen to the Adele bit.
Yeah, I haven't listened to any crawl space.
No, listen to the ASM 90 review. I think it's my crowning achievement as a reviewer.
Dear.
And that's a statement. Like
okay, how have the grades been on crawl space? I'm just curious.
Ranging from like D's on Brad ends to like B's for everybody else.
No, Brad's not enjoying this at all.
No. I don't blame him though.
I wish I was there to debate him because he's like, but him and I would probably be, we're definitely opposite, but I'm not surprised.
So anyways,
he doesn't have an affinity for Ben, and so therefore this is not up his alley at all.
So, ASM 90, written by Pat Gleason, art by Mark Bagley, 5 inkers. I can't stand when there's multiple inkers for a single artist. We're back to this song and dance again.
There really should not be 5 inkers on one artist in one book.
And 3 colorists for a 22-page issue. This is embarrassing, to be honest.
Feels like that there is production issues going on, and we will definitely talk about that more next issue. But this issue, yeah.
Andrew Hennessy, John Dell, Andy Owens, Wayne Foucher, and Victor Olazawa on inks, and Brian Valenza, Dijo Lima, and Andrew Crossley on colors. At least there is no Maury Hollowell. I can rest happy. My arch nemesis. Oh no, John Dell's here, so I can't.
Yeah. I did not realize he was doing Ultimate interior too. I didn't realize he had been with Bagley that long.
John Dell or Hennessy?
Dell.
Yeah. Anyways,
his inks weren't as bad when he was doing Ultimate back then. At least it's not to where I noticed the glaring production issues that.
Yeah, I think it wasn't also no. Scott Hanna was Ramita Jr., but didn't Hanna also do Ultimate?
I think he did the first half.
Okay. So anyways, last time on Amazing Spider-Man, Queen Goblin, who's definitely a ripoff of Green Goblin, but with Cold Steel the Hedgehog colors, bombed the Daily Bugle in order to stop Edward Snowden, Janine Godby, from whistleblowing on the Beyond Corporation. Ben Reilly ran away, and Spider-Man saved Mary Jane from falling off a building. Also, Black Cat tried to kill herself, but we'll talk about that later. So Maxine's kind of worried because, oh god, Spider-Man's kind of on the loose. And Ben, in the middle of trying to call him back to base, Ben puts her on airplane mode and says, Janine, I'm going to drop you off somewhere safe. I'm going to go take down Beyond. Nothing else matters. And Janine says, well, how about this hospital where your brother's conveniently located? Beyond Corporation was behind everything. Everyone saw this coming. Get better scripts next time, guys. We all saw this coming in the first issue. It was the UFOs were Beyond Corporation. Morbius was Beyond Corporation. Miles was Beyond Corporation. Everything is Beyond Corporation. Anyways, Queen Goblin is exactly the reason why therapists make me nervous. Okay. So anyways, back at the plot point that actually matters, Peter Parker is engaged in battle with Gobby Mommy.
Oh no.
We're back, baby. We're back to Gobby Mommy. Zach is seething.
The fact that you put it in I don't know why you put it in the description of this, but okay.
Good.
Oh, I did that for Neil. I did.
Okay. That's fair.
So Queen Goblin decides, you know what? I'm tired of this set piece. Let's go to a different one. Let's go to that bridge where Norman dropped your girlfriend, and Peter holds on for dear life and almost gets the upper hand until she grabs him by the throat and gives him a suicide stare. And Peter sees the COMIXOLOGY UI and decides, you know what? Best to get out of this life while I still can, and falls into the water. So I mentioned this in the crawl space, but Peter falls to the Skyfall intro, and as he hits rock bottom, Ben Reilly gives him Ben Reilly's words of "Be amazing." No, wait, that was Peter's words. Why is he's just inspiring himself? That's a little masturbatory, don't you think? But Peter says to never give up, and on a gorgeous semi-splash page, Peter propels himself back to the surface and gives Queen Goblin a good one right in the kisser. The Coast Guard conveniently shows up to save Peter from falling into the water again, and Queen Goblin hightails it out of there with her glider saving her. But she didn't manage to recover her headset, which has a comm device that Beyond Corporation put into it. Maxine traces Ben's suit to track him to Staten Island, and Peter reunites with MJ and Felicia. Not for that dream Peter had, but for actual plot development reasons. But Maxine over Queen Godwin's comms says initiate backdraft protocol for Staten Island, and Peter suits up and takes off to find Ben hanging on a satellite array, right?
Yes.
And Ben's on some really good stuff right now. Like, he's hallucinating, like his mask dissolving and becoming his face. Like, I want some of that. That looks like some good shit.
Right.
Peter and Ben have a back and forth about how they need to destroy Beyond Corporation. Peter says, let's do this. And wait, no. Ben says, let's do this. And Peter says, just try and stop me. And in a gorgeous splash page that I used for the thumbnail of this episode, Ben says, wouldn't dream of it, bro. All right. Grades around the horn. Zach.
This for me is an A+. One of my favorite issues thus far of the show, of the era, the Beyond era, season 2 here on Spideydude Experience. The Mark Bagley art, despite the amount of inkers, despite the amount of colorists that were involved in the issue, was fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
That final splash page was chef's kiss. They crushed it. Gleason and Bagley crushed it.
We've been saying this for a while, that if Gleason and McKay were the writers for Amazing Spider-Man going forward, or if Gleason got like his own Spider-Man title that wasn't amazing, I think we'd all be very happy people.
Gleason, you put Gleason and Bagley on freaking Spectacular Spider-Man and call it a day.
I would go read that. I wouldn't read Wells or Romita Jr. I'd read the hell out of Gleason and Bagley, though.
I would read both. I mean, like, clearly these two guys, I mean, Gleason and Wells can collaborate. They know how to work together.
Do we know if Gleason's still doing interiors for ASM, or is he going to a different project?
We don't know yet.
We don't know. Because ASM's twice a month again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's bi-weekly again.
So I don't think you should push, 24 issues out of a 60-something-year-old Romita Jr.
I don't even think he can handle it still. But between him and Bagley, they could probably crank out that many a month, that many a year.
I mean, yeah, him and Bagley, I mean, absolutely could. They can do 12 a year each. And then throw Gleason in as like a change of pace guy. I'd love to see Baldion take on Spidey. Truthfully. But
not twice a month though. I don't think. I think. Yeah.
As much as I love Baldion, I think he has too much attention to detail that he couldn't grind out that much.
I think his problem is the same thing as Gleason's, in that they're too hyper detailed and therefore they can't do it. But this issue was a freaking one of the best issues of Beyond. This was the moment where you had me cheering and saying, "Yes, Peter!"
Let's go, baby! Another Peter lifting heavy objects moment, but Peter was the heavy object.
Yeah, but I didn't dislike it.
No. I'm saying it was good. I'm just joking that Peter was the heavy object this time.
But I mean, this was an effective use of Peter's character and Peter being inspired by Ben, because it kind of brings a full circle moment for how Ben kind of was inspired by Peter in the early part of the story. And then, like, that final splash page, I was so optimistic about this week's issue. And
we're going to talk more about that later.
But, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I was smiling. I was like, there was the colors were brighter in the air, and I was like, this is the Spider-Man comic that I've always wanted. This is what I've wanted to see post Clone Saga. That
really aged well.
This was the moment that I'm like, okay, yes, this is what I wanted back in Revelations. Like, this brings me back to the scene in Revelations where Ben and Peter are playing Battleship up in Aunt May's attic, and they're bonding.
We're getting that, and we're getting a flashback to that in '93 because the previews came out, and
I haven't seen the preview yet, but
Gleason did it.
Oh, Gleason put the preview out?
No, Marvel did. Hang on.
Oh yeah, they showed it without text.
Do you want me to pull it up
There's
on
an
the
article for
website?
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need
Hang on.
But yeah, no, I was down for this issue. And like
I was freaking out. Like I was like, whoa!
This is awesome. Like, yeah. And then we get to the next issue, and I'm like, oh holy shit.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the Adventures in Poor Taste link.
Alert, the next issue's bad. It's just bad.
We'll expand more upon that later, but like after like the high that we hit on this issue, next issue was like the biggest tumble that I've ever seen. You see?
Oh yeah, so that's a oh god, god, they're writing this thing for me. That whole bit. Okay, the scene where she's yelling at him.
Yeah.
That's from Aftershocks. Right after Spec 223.
Look at they're wasting Gleason on this. They're
are
wasting him.
The thing is like he really should be on the title more going forward.
Speaking of on the title more going forward, the host of
hang on, he's not in the right place. Hang on, Adam, I'm shifting you. It's Paul. Hi, gotcha. You're in the middle of the Diet Coke.
Oh, welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
Comic Binge on YouTube.
So real quick, I hate how contrived this fight is gonna be, but damn if that ain't a sick ass page.
Yeah, but it's also a reference to ASM 404.
Oh no, so, I'm just saying this is gonna be a contrived as hell fight scene.
I know.
But it looks sick.
It looks sick.
I'm using it as a thumbnail for that episode. Even if something better comes up, I'm not changing it from this.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like I almost feel like an apologist for this in this group. So
we are still on the
ASM 90
issue, the ASM issue. So we've talked about Ben Reilly. We've talked about
what did you think of, since we've kind of already given like our sort of thoughts on ASM 91. What did you think, Paul?
Hold on. Is that the conclusion to the Goblin or Queen Goblin?
No, yeah. That's the one. That's the one that came out today.
The one that
90.
Yeah, 90 was the one that she
ran away.
Yeah, she ran away. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Peter perseveres through the gaze and.
Oh yeah. So that's the one that Gleason wrote, right?
He gets through. He makes it through the suicide stare.
First issue, which was the Gleason Bagley issue.
Yeah. So that issue was fantastic. I was really impressed with everything in that issue. I thought there's a couple points that Bagley I thought looked a little beat. Not I don't want to say rushed. I don't know if that's the right word.
It's 5
They were John Dellized.
Yeah, it's funny. Neil keeps hitting the drum on this old inker thing, and I'll be honest, inkers have never. And this is. I feel ashamed to even admit this. It's hard for me to tell like an inker. That's kind of like me. A good thing is usually when an inker, you can't tell when an inker is on it. Maybe.
Yeah. No, it is.
But I will say, the more that Neil you brought up, and this is, I'm glad you have, because I've noticed it way more. The shifts in art in the series, it's probably more. It's not as drastic as the shift in inkers, and it's like so jarring at times. And every once in a while, I'm thinking like I don't really think about it, but then when you've brought it up, I've noticed it, and now as I read, I'm like, God damn it! I can totally see.
Like, I've made you think harder.
I think
no,
this issue,
I'm glad you have. Honestly,
I don't think it was. It was really concerning there were 5, but I feel like it wasn't too noticeable most of the time.
Wayne Foucher was the best one, I think. The one where the pages where Peter's in the water. Those are like the best pages in the book, but like you can tell which pages are John Dell's because of how like incomplete they are. Like the page where it's immediately after Queen Goblin GTFOs from Spider-Man, and Maxine's like, what about our other asset? The one where she's like tracking Ben through his suit. That page is a John Dell page. You can tell how incomplete it looks and how weird the proportions are compared to other Bagley pages.
I think it's from page 10. The first 10 pages are like really good, and then it kind of shifts a little bit and it gets a little different. Maybe that's what I'm referencing. But either way, issue 90, I was really impressed. I thought that it was, and Adam, thank you for showing us that tweet in our chat here.
Yeah.
About Patrick Gleason and how he talked about how he wrote comics before. It wasn't just like he just kind of started doing it. Like he's an artist, but he also wrote. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's evident because I got pretty impressed. Like I gotta tell you, like I'm really impressed. And him and Bagley are a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I love this issue. Even the jarring inconsistencies, starting at page 11 on with like the inkers. Like, dude, the splash page of Ben and Janine, whatever her name is. I always forget her name. Jean, sorry. She looks. It's fantastic. This page is fantastic, and I mean, obviously, like also page 8 or 2-page spread, whatever you want to say, where it's Goblin.
Yeah, the one with Peter and Queen Goblin fighting. Yeah,
yeah, it's gorgeous, and.
Yeah.
I mean, Bagley's he's just so goddamn solid, and obviously the callback, there's that great callback to Steve Ditko,
Yeah.
and and again, it's the art, but it's also the writing, the dialogue, it's the way it's paced, it's really impressive. Like I gotta tell you, like I'm really impressed with how he's Gleason's wrote this comic book, and I think how it ends really cool. I mean. It was a really good issue, man. I gotta tell you, I was, Gleason's 3 for 3. He's really impressed me. I think they have to give him more to do in writing. If he, and let him draw, a couple arcs here, there was whatever he wants to do, whether it be Spider-Man or whatever. I think he's earned my trust for Spider-Man, but that's obviously. But I think just in general, as a comic book writer. I would be interested to see what he can do with other characters now, knowing his talents of artist and writing. Because the one thing I will say, as
written Captain America once,
but I want to see what he could do for an arc. I want to see what he could do because he's proved to me he can do like one-off issues, like he can fill in or whatever. I mean, he's done a great job of that. So. I want to see what he can do with a run, and I want to see what he can do when he's the artist, and he's also is the head writer of whatever he's doing, along with himself and somebody else.
We've made the pitch before for McKay and Gleason to work together.
I would 1000% be all about that.
Gleason gets it, man. Like he just gets it.
He gets it.
They need to give him something else to do.
I agree.
It's like a spec. If it's like a spec run or something.
Oh, I'd love that. Or even something like that'd be really cool. I would.
Whatever his next project is,
I'm gonna buy it.
I hope it's a high profile.
Yeah. And I want to just emphasize. I mean, this should be a no-brainer, right? But the thing with being an artist and a writer, I mean, it's really impressive it's cool, and it makes sense that he'd be a good writer if he can just get like dialogue and things like that. Because when you're writing comics, you got to write visually, right? You're writing in panels, so he knows how to set up Bagley, right? So I mean, It's perfect. It really, and it's an A+ for me too. I thought this was fantastic.
The running joke of the stream is going to be how many times the host of the podcast is missing. Well, now that it's not just me, we actually have someone to bounce off of now that Adam and Paul are here. So it's not as big of a deal now. There were times when Zach left because Adam didn't show up for like a good hour. So it was just me. It was just me talking about Transformers.
East Coast, baby. East Coast is hard, or not East Coast, West Coast, baby. It's hard for us, man. 5:30 is tough. That's a tough one.
I get it. I understand, but I also have to be at work at 5:30.
I know. I try to get that one night we were out talking late. I tried to get you off sooner. I kept trying to get you out of here. I tried to help you out. Anyway, A+ for me. I thought issue 90 was fantastic. I've been really enjoying this Beyond run as continuing. So.
Hey, who wants to talk about the next issue? Because that's a piece of shit.
Honestly, the run overall is pretty solid.
I would agree. Yeah.
It just kind of feels like, I don't know. I guess it just feels like this was totally an editorial thing. Well, we basically know that. And it just feels like, well,
there's definitely places where they spun their wheels. We could have definitely sped up on this one, but
Mm-hmm. How about this? if they're gonna spin their wheels a little bit and they need to kind of fill up filler, this is the filler that I'd want. Like you
Exactly.
could like if
Man.
I mean honestly, like I've dealt with not me personally, but like I have read bad filler. Let's be real. There's
This
in
is
comics.
Manga is full of it.
Yeah, this next issue. Oh man, it is
Okay.
it is the bad filler of this run. Unfortunately,
So, anyways, Amazing Spider-Man number 91, written by Kelly Thompson. Oh boy. Okay. Art by Sarah Pacelli, and Pacelli couldn't even finish one issue. They had to bring in Fran Galan to finish the interior. God damn. Has Pacelli been able to do her job for the last 5 years? Anyways, and Brian Reber as the colors. Oh, I thought Paul was like trying to tell me to take it.
No. Sorry, you're free to do what you don't want, man.
Paul's like silence.
Silence, heretic.
Silence.
So at the Beyond Supervillain program in Staten Island, how does no one notice about this? This is a giant building in the middle of Staten Island. There's nothing. How did they not notice that? So they're fighting. So Ben Reilly is having an existential crisis as they're fighting a giant robot, and it's revealed that they are in Beyond's weird science lab thing. And there's a bunch of different creatures. There's a boxing chicken, Green Zoidberg, Ursa Major, the spider robots from the Abrams Man mini.
Not Jeff the Shark.
Not Jeff. A snake. Oh no. A cat, an astronaut, and some flower people. There's a guy with a chainsaw. There's a fat man with a chainsaw. So they're really getting the tough. They're really getting the tough fights this one, and Peter and Ben get to work. They begin webbing up all the villains except for this weird cat. Ben has another panic attack, and the cat turns feral as Ben throws up in a barrel. The throwing up prompts. What's that one animal? Is it the Scraplets from Transformers? I got another Transformers reference in. Yeah, baby, I'm still got it. Fej, the evil land shark. Yeah, Jeff spelled backwards. But Peter is holding off the cats by himself. At Beyond headquarters, Maxine is getting briefed on an advanced team en route to contain the breach from Staten Island, and says, "Hey, if Door Z is open, we got a big problem on our hands. Put the wet work team on standby." Meanwhile, back at Beyond, Peter is getting the cover from Amazing Spider-Man number 21 where Peter's getting dragged down by all the vermin clones. This is kind of feels like that page. But anyways, Ben's kind of frozen. He sees a hole in his mask and goes, "You know what? I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to change this." Ben saves Peter and they get back to work. Even though, Ben falls. Ben falls off of a pillar. He fails to save himself from getting webbed. But Peter saves Ben from falling, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, you forgot that Misty Knight and Colleen Wing were in this comic, right? Well, they're back. Not written by Jed McKay, unfortunately. And they crash in, and Misty and Colleen get to work helping to fight the Chainsaw Man and the Chicken Boxer and the snow. There's a snowman here. This isn't weird. This is just stupid. They're fighting a snowman. Come on. Fight scene. Ben moves over to Door Z, and back in New Jersey, Janine's holed up in a Wi-Fi. Not no Wi-Fi. She's holed up in a motel with Wi-Fi, and she says, "I'm done being a damsel. I'm gonna go do something." And then it cuts back to Staten Island again. Wow, what's this really weird art change? So Ben is hacking into the control panel and gets locked out. And Maxine says, this isn't my program. You need to maybe think about what you're doing here. And Ben says, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to open Door Z. And as the call ends, Ben just runs away as Door Z opens. And what comes out? It's the lizard, but bigger. And he has wings.
Yeah.
That's it. That the issue's over.
It's over.
It's over.
I can't believe he got promoted to King Komodo.
That's actually a cool name.
Oh, who wants to go first?
Yeah, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Hold on. Venkman, you guys showed Venkman's comment about the issue.
She sounds like a
Yeah,
bad
that's
Spider-Man.
Venkman,
That's how I felt.
That's pretty good. That
McNulty-
Venkman, that's kudos.
McNulty in the crawl space Discord was talking about this issue when it came out this morning.
Yeah.
And he was talking about all the horrible dialogue that came out of this issue. Kelly Thompson is good, but her dialogue in this issue is garbage.
I can't say I'm a fan.
I'm going to say this. This is the first time I've done this on this program, I think.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh, what?
I wouldn't give it an F.
Wow.
It profoundly let me down. I was excited coming into today's issue, coming off of last week's issue. I think the artwork from Pacelli was bland, undynamic. I cannot stand the way she draws the web pattern. I just have problems with her art style. I think that the Ben taking off again, this is like I could kind of forgive it the first time. Now this is becoming a pattern, and I don't like it.
Are we talking about Pacelli still, or
no? Ben taking off from a storytelling standpoint. I just don't like that element where he basically trapped.
The plot demands that he leave.
The plot demands that he leaves, so that way we do something.
I'm gonna push back, but I'll wait till your
it just does not feel right. While I enjoyed the little bit of the Ben Peter dynamic, I just didn't like the way that it was drawn. The art change was jarring and drastic and not good. I did not like the art. The second half of this book was bad.
Honestly, I didn't even like the first half of Pacelli. It feels like Pacelli just kind of winged it at the last minute.
Yeah, like Pacelli was brought in and she was taking too long, and so they had to bring in a replacement artist. And the replacement artist, in the past they've been able to find similar styles. I don't like the artwork in this issue. The artwork really in the second half drug it down for me, and the writing to me was a D plus, and then the artwork just killed it for me, and that's why I decided to give it an F, because it failed to execute what had been set up with Gleason. And
can I set up a metaphor here? This is like you're on drugs and you feel awesome, but then you trip on the stairs and then fall down like 3 flights.
So Thompson has written this in the Morbius issues, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like any of them. She was the one that I was the most excited to see on Spider-Man. And Kelly pointed out to me that that was, she's writing over, the plot, the overall arcing plot of Wells. It's not. This has been my least favorite issues. Has been her, and so to me, I think part of the reason I'm giving it an F is that I'm just profoundly disappointed. I expected more out of Kelly Thompson, and I didn't get at any point so far with the 3 issues. They've went from being bland and mediocre to just downright bad. And this was bad. The dialogue.
They wasted the build up and hype of last issue. Like 2-3 pages in, I was already bored. That's how bad it was.
It didn't work, and you get everybody jacked up and hyped up, and just a crash and burn on one of the penultimate issues of the arc. I mean, we've got 2 issues left, boys.
3.
Generous
for this issue.
Paul, you were saying that like they could wrap it up in 4 issues. They've got 3 now, and I have even less hope that they're going to wrap this up in a satisfying way.
I'm worried.
They wasted an issue on a fight scene that could have been resolved in like half the time, and then they pivot so that Ben has to leave, and now they're having to do 2 separate plot lines. We're going to waste another issue fighting Morbius, I'm guessing. And then one of them is dedicated to Monica Rambeau. So now we have 3 concurrent plot lines.
Or more convoluted as it goes.
And we know a good chunk of 93 is going to probably be flashbacks. So I'm just curious how they're going to wrap this up. This is exactly how Spencer's run ended. We thought, oh, he's got 8 issues. He can wrap up all these plot points in time. And then not only did none of those plot points get resolved, we got something completely different.
We got to start sticking some landings at some point. And right now we're getting towards the tail end of the story. And I just don't, I feel like that maybe there's a last minute twist that'll be there. This issue bummed me out reading it today.
Also, I really liked Misty and Colleen in like in their solo issue together. Then they just come out of nowhere. Like the team just suddenly remember that they exist, and they just come out of nowhere in a convenient flying car for no reason.
Like that's my next point. It's like, okay, we're now starting to see the convergence of all the side plots, but now it's just like, okay, it feels like we're getting all the action figures and we're 6 years old and we're saying, and then we have Colleen and then everybody, the whole world shows up. It just feels very much like the pacing was bad of this issue. And when the pacing was bad, the dialogue's bad, the art's bad, I don't know what else to say.
All right, Paul, give us your pushback.
What is your grade, first of all, Paul?
I read this issue really quickly this morning, and I love the cover. The cover's great. And just I kind of forgot we're reviewing this today, and so kind of off the cuff, I'll give it a C-. What I'll say about this, and I think it's what's interesting is that Jed MacKay is writing the next issue, as far as I know, and this definitely feels like stalling to me. Like this definitely feels like they're padding it, and this is why I feel more like I think they got a clear ending in sight, but they're just kind of like, okay, we need to figure this out. This person needs more time, so Kelly, you do this issue. Hey Jed, you'll do the next one, and then because Gleason comes out of nowhere to do the last issue, and and that had a little more definite conclusion with the Queen Goblin. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it does have a little bit of an advantage. The last issue does, at least Gleason did. I'll say again, this is not a knock against him, but he had some resolve because he was able to, right? He was given a character. Okay, wrap this up, put a nice little bow on it. Now I just set off Peter and Ben on their little adventure. Okay, again, not saying it's easy, but right now Kelly has to stall. And that's what it feels like here. And what I will push back a little bit on what you're saying about Ben, to me, that's consistent with what Ben's been like. He's been kind of erratic since Slott brought him in, but that's kind of neither here or there. Yeah. At least with this arc, I feel he's been pretty consistent. And it's been a gradual it does not feel abnormal to me that he's just kind of all over the place, especially with the fact that the missing faces are going on. Yeah. The more that's happening, the more he's unstable is going to be. I'm not sure if you've ever had a panic attack, but when I get panic attacks, I get unstable and I'm all over the place emotionally.
It's not that he's not having the panic attacks that like is upsetting. It's more that like he has a panic attack and just suddenly recovers. Like, okay, I'm better now. Let's keep going for the sake of the plot.
But I think I understand that's a fair criticism. I just buy into it of like he's Spider-Man. He's a Spider-Man. He's Peter. He's trying to push through, and he keeps getting sidelined with these different dots in his head. He's all over the place.
I just didn't get that because I could understand like Peter, like Ben having a panic attack and then being like a little like rattled, but still kind of giving it his all. But the way Kelly Thompson writes her dialogue, and she writes in what I call the quipster method, where every character has to keep cracking jokes and can't ever take anything seriously. Mm. Ben just kind of freaks out, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm better now." And it doesn't ever show him like if it had shown him being rattled, I would have been okay with it. But like he just goes, "Okay, I'm better now. Open the door. Bye."
The plot was driving the bus more than the characters were.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, but again, and I think that's a fair. Those are not just fair, but I agree with those criticisms. And
Oh,
but I
also,
don't think the
Does Ben Reilly have a bomb? Does Ben Reilly have a hand grenade that he just throws at the wall?
I don't remember, to be honest. Again, I'm not defending, and I defended Kelly Thompson. I think her Morbius issues are way better than you guys give him credit for. I also, to be honest, I think she got kind of like a raw deal on this one too. It's just like, hey, why don't you stall for an issue, and then Jed's gonna get a stall. I mean, it's gonna be a Lizard issue. I mean, it
feels like that she was kind of playing the stall game, and in both of her.
No, I agree, and so I don't really feel she's been given a fair shake of Spider-Man. I think she's a much better writer than she's shown, especially in this issue particularly. I'm with you though. I would say the one criticism I have of her dialogue, and again, and I've read not all of her stuff, but I've read a decent amount of stuff now with her Captain Marvel run, her first part of the Black Widow run, and now these issues. And I would definitely say that even the Quipster idea is definitely that has that Bendis quality to it, and it definitely gets old at times. It's a little, depending on the book, right, and the situations. That being said, I think the art was Bocelli's art was okay. I don't think it was terrible. It just was okay. I think she's a phenomenal artist anyway. And I think that she gets away with some things because she's so good. But when that the different artist came through, it was rough. It was jarring. Jarring was probably the, and again, I don't like criticizing artists to an extent because that person was brought on quickly probably to complete the issue. And, whenever you give an artist more time as far as like legwork to prepare, and develop and all that stuff, I don't want to be critical on that person. So but I will say it's so jarring. It was so jarring. It took me out of it. And, it just wasn't a great issue. I don't think it was the worst thing I ever read. I've read plenty of bad comics in my day. This was not.
Oh no! We're not saying this is like the worst comic ever.
No, I know. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying like it wasn't. But it was barely passable to me. It was barely passable. But
so Falon or Garan, the guy who did the second half, he's done great work. He did the issue of Extreme Carnage where Andy becomes Silence.
I haven't read that.
She and Flash teamed up again, and they're back together now.
Right.
Like that was really good art, and it feels like I don't know what Pacelli's been doing. Like, does she have any other projects that she's doing outside of ASM? Because like what she's been doing is Morbius. How did it take her this long to finish the pages that she did, and how did she not have enough time after 3 or 4 months to?
Yeah,
because I don't. But
on the other ones too. I seem to recall that there was some fill-in work too.
Yeah, Jim Tote. Like, what is she doing that is requiring a fill-in artist every time she comes on?
I mean, to be honest, bro, that's not just her. It's like a lot of artists out there. I mean, it's just like.
But for Pacelli, it seems especially egregious because she is set such a high bar for herself.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
That this sort of like inability to finish an entire issue is, I think, unacceptable.
But you know what? We don't know circumstances. We don't know if she got sick. I mean, like what happened with Pachaco.
His mom died.
Yeah, Pachalo. Sorry, yeah. So we don't know the circumstances. But I agree with you though that her art wasn't as strong here, and when the other artists came on, it was jarring. It felt the dialogue was a little too much. All that stuff. So I will say I agree with most of you guys. Like it was not the greatest issue, but this is an example of why I think they're gonna. It remains to be seen if they'll stick the landing. I can't predict that, right. But this definitely demonstrates to me anyway. They can easily, and they have an insight, and everything's kind of planned pretty well. And this is them just stalling at this point. I mean, they throw the lizard, which I gotta admit, like the reveal of the lizard at the end wasn't that cool, but the cover of the next issue.
Oh, the cover!
Pretty rad. I think it's pretty rad. Looks amazing. So I'm kind of into it. So
the cover was cool, but it's like I don't.
This was where the ones with the solicitations came out. The lizard was a good surprise because they didn't show this cover. They just showed you the cover this week's, not show you next week's cover. They
showed a Pacelli variant of Misty and Colleen.
So again, it's so frustrating because I had such high hopes for Kelly Thompson, and I
Kelly.
Kelly would do good with it.
I still think Kelly Thompson could do a good Spider-Man story. I mean, well, didn't she write Spidey? Is that her?
That was Robbie Thompson.
Yeah, that was Thompson.
I can't think if she had somebody she wrote. She actually wrote Spider-Man before, but I can't remember where it was.
She wrote Peter in the Jessica Jones mini she did for digital exclusive.
Oh, okay. But either way, I think she could do a good work. I just think she's been given kind of the unfair shot a little bit with this. But I mean,
this is also the nature the problem with having so many writers and so many cooks in the kitchen.
I agree.
You're
1,000%.
Picking up the plot of somebody else's previous plot. So
real quick, I've got a question, and if anyone can answer me this, I'll be eternally grateful for you. What is Maxine Danger's motive? Like aside from running superhero BlackRock, like she seems to flip flop from like a Greg Weisman style. Oh, this was just as planned to oh shit, I have nothing under control. My life is spiraling into chaos.
Well, that's why I said. That's why last time I said that Beyond seems amoral, or if not Beyond, at least Maxine does. She doesn't, because it's like, okay, well, we're gonna take advantage of this supervillain situation. We're gonna take Peter out of the picture so we can have Ben as Spider-Man, and then we're gonna
show her constantly roadblock
villains. I don't know. It's just weird.
But I think that's the point, though. I don't think we're supposed to know her motivation, and because
we're 17 parts into this 19-part story, and we still don't have any answers.
But I don't think we need answers yet, though. I don't need answers. No. Yeah, I feel like what they've done, because obviously she's up to some no good because she's manipulating Ben. Whenever you manipulate someone like what you're doing, you're not exactly a good person.
Except that she's not entirely consistent. Like, and when she's talking to Ben over the hologram, she's like, Ben, if you don't come willingly, I'm gonna activate Door Z. And then she loses her mind when Ben does it for her. And it's like in the span of 10
he was bluffing, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I didn't look. I mean, I didn't look at it as the inconsistency. I felt it just kind of.
But they never indicated that she was like. There was nothing to indicate like that if she opened Door Z that like she was bluffing. But I mean, then
I guess her reaction. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not
like, wait, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm just not that like. For me, Maxine, like Adam said, all will be revealed. Maxine Danger is. I actually like her because she is. Because I don't really know what's going on with her because there is this mystery, and I feel that like what he said, all will be revealed. If they just don't, and they just kind of whatever, then it just kind of just put it under the rug. Then yeah, I think that's a fair criticism, and that's stupid. You got to give her some kind of not agency, but some kind of motivation to do what she's doing. But
aside from being a useless like girl boss bureaucrat. Okay, Paul, you're muted.
Paul, you're muted.
Paul, we can't hear you.
Paul, we can't.
Paul, we can't hear you. Hang on.
We can't hear you. And for those that are listening to the audio version, Paul became unplugged.
My bad. Yeah, sorry about that. No, I just don't think she's going to be a useless bureaucrat. I don't think she's going to. I think if I'm again as a storyteller in me, it feels like there's going to be a massive reveal of what Beyond's motivation in general is going to be, and it's going to spin off from this Spider-Man stuff to another Nick Lowe edited book. That's what it feels like they're going to do. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll eat crow and I'll be like, hey, you're right, Neil. It feels like that's where they're headed. But remains to be seen if either one of us is right.
Listen,
that was Leah Williams, Matt.
Yeah, that was Leah Williams.
I would read the hell out of a Leah Williams ASM.
Absolutely, I loved her on Amazing Mary Jane.
But yeah, this to me, this issue felt like both a stalling issue in their attempt to like advance the plot. Like Thompson was, I feel like Thompson was kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place because she was like given the editorial direction of stall, but also do something.
Yeah. Stalled
No, for
the
sure.
plot along a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't think she could. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what it feels like. This only a couple issues left. Like it feels like whatever's gonna happen is gonna be a pretty like, you know, it's gonna fall right in line. And I think right now they're just like, just get to this number, get to this number. We had to get 17 issues or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
Well, but that also raises the question of like, what happens if there's no, like, what if we get another ASM 74 situation where like they've teased all these plot points and then.
Well, you know what? Then that's on editorial, then not on the writer, in my opinion.
Yep.
Then that's editorial fault.
I think everyone's kind of at fault. The writers are the editorial's at fault for not getting things done, but the writers are also at fault for not making anything of it.
But you gotta remember who's in charge. Who's really in charge? It's the editors. They approve what the writers do.
I don't disagree, but this is a multi-level organization. It's not just that's like saying like, oh, the CEO is responsible for every minute decision.
But the writers. But if the writers, the writers projecting something, and the editors have to approve and deny, because we don't know what the writer. That's the problem, though. We don't know what the writers are being approved for and what they're being denied. So, for all we know, the ideas that the writers have could be way better than what Nick Lowe approves. So it's hard to be judged. It's hard. What I can judge the writers on is how they structure the issue and the reveals and the dialogue and the way they tell a story. And that's how I can judge them on. And as far as them driving, their ideas, like is right now, that's my whole point of this whole 17 issue arc. It's not really the writers per se. It's mainly Nick Lowe. He's the one who's like, hey, here's my idea. I'm getting you guys to flesh it out. Nick Spencer was different because he was the main writer, show running the whole thing. And then him and Nick Lowe are kind of working together. So, I mean, again, I feel if we get if he's 74 again, if to me, if we get that, that's on Nick Lowe, 1,000%.
Yeah, but I also would argue that Wells is kind of being the showrunner here.
Now well, I would say I would even not now. He's barely been on it.
Nick Lowe went to Wells and said, "Make this story."
Yep.
At that point, he's handing over control to Wells, and at that point, the ball's in his court.
But if you don't like the outcome, but if you don't like the result of the story, is that on Wells or is that on Nick Lowe? That's my question. Like,
I think it's on Wells because
issue execution aside,
because depending on how much autonomy Wells has, and I think with this run he's getting a lot of it, then it's kind of on him at this point.
I don't know, man. If Wells having a lot of control, why is he like? Why do we have like 5 million writers?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean.
If anything,
it's
we would
like
have
that,
like half the amount of writers, probably.
Exactly.
It'd be mostly Wells, and it'd be mostly Gleason.
Are we talking about Wells' run, or are we talking about Beyond?
Talking about Beyond.
No, Beyond. We're talking Beyond.
I'm talking about Wells' solo run.
Yeah. You're right. No, you're right on that. 1,000%. That would be on both of them at that point. If they don't connect, if they don't execute well, I 1,000% will blame both of them. That's on them. But at this point, I can't really blame any writer for the choices because it feels like this is all from Nick Lowe's editorial. Again, I'm not bashing Nick Lowe. I'm just saying like it feels like this is all editorial driven, 1,000%. Instead of like being like a Nick Spencer or a Zeb Wells, it feels like here's my idea, guys. Let's all get together, flesh it out. Here's your parts. Have fun. Like that's not. I wouldn't really blame the last person, that writer, on trying to wrap it all up on them. That's going to be on Nick Lowe organizing everything. But again, because I like what we've gotten, so this is an issue that's been great.
And this is the first issue that I've given a failing grade on. I think maybe on the show.
That's me. D is a failing grade.
I'm with Neil. I think a D is not. That's not an endorsement.
D is like unsatisfactory, if I remember correctly.
A D is like congratulations, you didn't get a 2. You didn't get a 1.0 GPA. Have fun at community college.
So I mean, we've ran through almost 90 some odd books, almost over 100 books at this point when you add the point issues. More than 100.
Awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
which we've done that as a podcast. That's pretty rad. Like, how rad is that?
We've
ourselves in the back.
Yeah, we've covered over 100 issues so far on the podcast, and of those 100 issues, I think I've given maybe 4 or so D's, and then 1 F. This is my first F. Compare that to the Clone Saga Chronicles podcast, where I gave a lot of Fs, and I'm a Clone Saga fan. I'm the Ben Reilly apologist. Like, this is kind of written for me. And, yeah, but we talk about, like, being a rush job versus, taking your time. Look at David Baldion's artwork on Ben Reilly, and look at his work on Kane. And with the Kane situation, it was very much a rush job, and you could tell. With Ben Reilly, it's not a rush job, and it looks gorgeous. So I don't know what's going on with Pacelli, but it seems like since Ultimate, and her leaving Ultimate, I have not liked any of her artwork on Spider-Man.
I thought she was pretty good in that first, like, those first 20 issues of Miles in the post Secret Wars run. I thought that was pretty good, Pacelli. But
that's my point. Since Miles,
I thought you were talking about, like, Ultimate as in.
I liked the art in the J.J. Abrams stuff.
Like the artwork the artwork was fine, but I think it would have been better if she wasn't inking her own stuff. Give her a strong inker, I think it would have popped. But that story was not salvageable, period.
I gotta say, when I started the Fantastic Four run for Slot's run, and she was on it with him, she was not a good artist for that. And I like Sarah Pacelli, and it didn't really feel it fit her style. It feels like she's a better street level hero, like in that medium, like somewhere in between. Like she's a perfect Spider-Man artist, obviously, because she can kind of get cosmic, get street, and get both. Straight cosmic, not really her strong suit.
She was okay on Bendis's Guardians, but that was kind of just like, she had Okay, again, I'm going back to the color as well. Ponser was her right-hand man, and when he died, her art took a nosedive.
I liked her. I forgot she did the Guardians run. Those are solid issues. Those are really solid issues.
Hey, do you want to talk about solicits to wrap this up?
Well, you guys haven't given your grades. Neil, what's your grade?
D-.
Oof. A D- from Neil.
What about Adam? He hasn't really talked about the issue yet, has he?
No, I know. He's kind of coming every once in a while.
Yeah.
Given his.
I don't have much to say about it.
Adam, I just wanted to make sure you heard us, my friend.
I'll throw out a couple bullet points. The art was okay. The change in art was jarring. The issue is so fast paced, and it's just a weird issue. And I thought, like, it's entertaining-ish, but it's just the quippy dialogue is too much. You gotta let that stuff breathe. Like, it's way too much, but it adds to how fast the issue is going. It's just a nonstop, like, bouncing off the walls kind of thing. Okay, we're fighting all this random junk. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, the dialogue for me, it was too much. It was too over the top. Like,
yeah,
you just it gets to be too much. You got to let that breathe. Grade maybe like a B- or so.
B-. Wow.
You're way kinder than even.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're kinder than I am.
Wow.
I said C-.
What a range of grades. I gave this an F. Neil gave it a D-. Paul gave it a C-, and gave it a B-. Like, wow.
Well, I guess the minus is the most consistent part of this entire damn review.
I love it.
Yeah, but I think that shows that this wasn't the greatest issue, regardless of how you're such vast different opinions of each direction. It shows that it just wasn't a strong issue overall.
Yeah,
I think the fact that we had so much to dig into was kind of telling me how rough this was. If that makes sense.
I didn't hate it, but I kind of liked it, but kind of didn't. Is the thing.
Okay.
Like I say, it did not.
It's disappointing. I think that's the best thing you said, Zach. It's disappointing. It was just disappointing.
Disappointment and a mess. down.
there really is a high. There's a bit of a high coming off of that last splash
That last
page
issue's
in
so
the
good,
in
yeah.
the Bagley in the Gleason Bagley
Yeah.
issue, and then we go to this, and it's just it's disappointing. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, don't forget the flower people smell like farts. That's an example of the realistic dialogue from this issue. Not kidding. This is Mike McNulty commenting. A review of this comic said the dialogue was real, not comic booky. Well, it may have came across as real, but it did not advance the plot at all. It just it failed to meet the expectations. And is it fair to put the expectations on this issue after last issue? Maybe not. But at the same time, when you raise those expectations, there's a certain level that you expect to achieve. And when it doesn't achieve that mark, it's like, to use the Olympics, analogy. You sit here and you get to the point where you're finally performing in the Olympic event, and then you fall flat on your face.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Felt like happened with this issue. Like, the high hopes I had for it completely diminished. And I would like to see what Kelly Thompson does when she's able to write her own stories and not be a part of a group where she's having to write, part.
Here's some more dialogue.
Agreed.
They gave me a car that flies. I think that the car was just falling.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Like Paul
Yeah,
Keaton.
I think actually Colleen might have been the worst.
Colleen was like an MCU character on steroids. Holy crap!
Unfortunately, I think she maybe had the worst dialogue of the whole
Honestly,
thing.
you probably didn't need you need, unless they're gonna play a major part in the end. Well, obviously they must be. That's why you put them in here, because I feel like they're completely not necessary to be in this at all. But
And that's coming from someone who liked the Jed McKay one shot with them.
right, I like all the Jed McKay stuff too. I mean, but yeah, it's just. But obviously they're gonna play some part with Monica Rambeau at the end of this, so.
It feels like
definitely.
all that is doing is trying to justify bringing them in and justifying that one shot.
Yeah.
It's like, it's job justification day, and that's what they're having to do.
Oh, hang on, real quick. I kind of mentioned this before stream, but J. Scott Campbell's been releasing like a bunch of variant covers for ASM #1, when it relaunches, and they're all just the same variant cover with a different character on the front. Like, it's all the same backdrop. And I mentioned this on Twitter. I'm kind of impressed that J. Scott Campbell's going to trick people into buying the same cover 7 times. And J. Scott Campbell liked the tweet.
That's awesome, actually.
I don't know if he got what I was saying there.
No, I mean, all's fair in love and war, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let's talk solicits, and then we'll start wrapping this show up, because we're an hour longer than I wanted to be.
All right, so Amazing Spider-Man #3. I know this is just issue #3, but you notice that it's Legacy. They're really hyping up, like, oh, guys, it's number 900. Then why did you go all the way to number 100?
Because, like I said, it was gonna be weird, like with 900 coming up and then 100 right after, or like right before. You know what I mean? I think that's
all
why
knew
they were
that.
like, it's time to.
But like, look at Tombstone's hands. What's wrong with his hands?
They're bloodied up. I like this.
Not the like, they look 2-dimensional.
Well,
I like the teeth. I like the teeth. That's kind of, I know it's like Tombstone teeth, but like, I think that it looks cool.
No, I like this cover. It reminds me of his the classic Hobgoblin cover that he did back in the day.
A little bit, yeah.
Who does the colors for these? Is this is Menyes? I take it back. I don't like the colors on this cover. But Amazing Spider-Man #4, after what happened with Tombstone, Spider-Man still has to fight a whole well-armed gang to save dozens of innocent New Yorkers. With his spider powers, he can probably take 10 or 15 of them. But if there's 30 of them, ASM 900 is almost here. Did you need the ASM 900 is almost here? We know. We were almost there.
Yeah.
You're the ones who relaunched. This is not on us. We're not the ones who need to be reminded that 900 is here.
At this point, like, after not relaunching with Beyond,
this is where you choose to relaunch. I mean, Venom.
Conqueror shows up. Looks like
even Symbiote Bro doesn't like this run. That's how telling this is.
Ooh,
it's Brian Hitch.
That's your core audience.
Post Ultimate Brian Hitch. Ugh. Carnage number 3.
Are people still reading Venom?
No.
Uh,
Okay.
whoever was,
What?
whoever was going to follow the Donny Cates run with
Had
Stag,
a lot of
like yeah, to me, you'd have been better off.
Not having them switch places? Absolutely.
You'd have been better off, honestly, letting Venom not have a title for a year or two.
Yeah, like let him go hang out with like the Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Yeah, and put him in a side book like that or something like that. And just let the character kind of breathe. Immediately relaunching the character
It was a mistake.
Was a profound mistake.
And I like Ewing and I like Ram V, but I feel like Ewing kind of just went in and was like, I don't really know what I want to do with this.
Ram
and then
V is so good.
No,
Yeah.
I don't like the Ram V issues. It feels like he's a phenomenal writer. I love the many deaths of Lila Starr, and I love his Swamp Thing. I can't get into his Venom though because he writes Dylan like your standard angsty teenager. He's like it's the Franklin Richards problem.
Yeah,
we're like in trying to write a teenager, he just defaults to like the stereotype of like the angry teen.
yeah. I
just have no interest in Venom. And I love Al Ewing, so it's a bummer. And it's just funny because Kate's got Hulk run. I've refused to read, and I'm so glad.
Horrible.
Oh god, it sounds so bad.
They're even teasing like the next threat is like Hulk's null, and I'm like, this is the most self-indulgent thing I've ever read.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
Let's see, Carnage. It's projected. I guess I don't care. It's Ram V again, and I should be more excited, but I don't care. Ram V is not good with established characters, I think, aside from like Justice League Dark. Spider-Punk, I'm actually kind of looking forward to this one because it's Ziggler and Justin Mason. This actually looks kind of fun.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
What if Miles Morales? What if he was the Hulk? I mean, I don't get it.
Okay. Why are we putting Miles Morales as different various characters? Okay.
This is like what if Punisher became Spider-Man or what if Spider-Man became Punisher?
Cover.
That cover's cool.
I'm scared of the colors.
It'll be fine. I think it is colored out there. I don't know where.
Ben must take on the entire Ravencroft Institute for the criminally insane, but must he face them alone or will an unlikely ally step in? This is one finale you don't want to miss.
This cover looks great. You know why? Because there's no like literal
faces.
Like this is where I feel like Steve Skaros excels when he's drawing superhero stuff. When he's drawing Ben Reilly in the costume, he excels. When he's not drawing faces, I'm fine. When he starts drawing faces, it's the McFarlane effect all over again.
His faces aren't that bad, I don't think.
Skaros or McFarlane?
I think you're.
Wait, who are you talking about? What artist?
Steve Skaros.
He's talking about Steve Scarossi because some of the faces he's drawn on these Ben Reilly covers are pretty ugly. So he takes umbrage with that.
So let's see, Gwenverse. This is
God kill me.
Dude, don't even be started on that rant.
Let's see. Okay, this one made me like cringe. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 38.
Man, get him off this book. Get him off this book.
Is this Miles? Is this Selim? I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, a timeline where Miles' clone Selim is victorious, and the only thing standing in the evil Spider-Man's way is a rebellion led by General Genki.
Get him off this book!
And a very grown-up and extremely badass Capitan Billy. God damn it.
Why? Who approves this? Who approves this storyline?
Here's the weird thing: is that Ahmed started off with like aging up Genki a little bit, like he made him like older. He gave him like the stubble and stuff. But then for whatever reason, like as soon as Miles, like I think it was like the Clone Saga, they just started Genki as fat again, just fat.
But like why? Okay, why is his body armor
Why have the story at all? This is freaking awful. This is awful.
Okay, so this is they're still on the multiverse shit. This is 7 issues.
No. Get this crap out of here.
If I was really into Miles, I don't know if that's what I would want to read.
Legion Protector actually looks really good. The preview for the first issue looks phenomenal.
I like Miles, but he's ruining the character.
I know that's
terrible.
I don't know. If I was like really, really into Miles, I don't know if this whatever they're doing here is what I would want.
Get
them
him
to
off
do
this
with the character.
book.
Does Billy have characters? Or does Billy have powers? Like,
Honestly, the thing that I kind of feel like is going on right now is that they're basically biding time until issue 50, and then maybe they'll relaunch again.
just
And
give
get
him
me
a
a-
rest.
Or they're basically biding time until the new movie comes out and then relaunch.
Or
them.
they thought this would be a good idea and it's just terrible and they need to like cut their losses ASAP.
Hey guys, who do you think is going to replace Ahmed? My guess is Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh God, I will not read them.
Oh, stop it! His cap is way better than when it's
Oh no,
not
I like
that
it. No,
bad.
I like his cap. But
His cap was I thought it was pretty good. Like I read
No,
the first like 6 issues. It was solid.
I'm saying it was good. I'm just saying
Oh,
like
no, right, yeah.
they're gonna
Look
get
at that character up there. He was like,
they're gonna get Coates because who else are they gonna put on it?
No,
I'll
I
be
think they'll
honest.
get
And
someone else. I don't know.
dude, put what's his Ziggler. On
Yeah,
this book.
yeah. Ziggler
Oh,
should probably.
Ziggler's Miles stuff is awful.
Well, what was that? Wasn't that just backup stuff?
No,
Was it-
yeah.
no, I can't blame him on a backup.
Give me Ziggler on it where he's actually can like put his because
Exactly.
I get him, let him stretch out. Ziggler would do way better than Ahmed. Get Ahmed out of there, man.
But anyways, the Venom Lethal Protector, Michelini and or Michelini and Fiorelli. I like this creative team.
That would be a fun ish. That would be a fun comic series because that's actually like fun Venom stuff.
Rants are back on the menu, guys. Remember all that character progression that I know this is like a untold tale, but like I'm kind of tired of going back to the Venom. Venom likes brains.
It makes me they bring in Paulo Secura, who is like the poor man's McFarlane. Like
I wouldn't say he's poor man's McFarlane.
I mean, it looks good. I mean,
it looks good. Don't get me wrong, but he's
poor man's implies it looks worse than McFarlane's.
That's a great cover, man. That's a stunning cover.
His work, though, I mean, his Spider-Man work has been basically aping McFarlane this whole time.
I mean, that just goes to show you the power of
depending on
McFarlane's
who you
art
ask, it's a
and
good
influence
thing.
and
Yeah,
the influence of his
I'm with
style.
both Adam and Neil. They're 1,000%. Man, Neil, I need to catch up on Silk, homie. I keep forgetting.
No, we actually had like a really long review that kept getting interrupted because Zach kept getting up and leaving. But I was saying that like Silk has kind of taken on the mantle of what Spider-Man should be, as opposed to like what Peter does, because the writers don't feel like Peter's secret identity is a burden to them artistically. Like Cindy has to juggle the golden triangle of work, personal life, and superhero stuff, and like the fact that she has to make sacrifices for those is, I think, a very strong indicator that like the writers care about Cindy's secret identity and the consequences that come as a consequence of it. Yeah. Whereas like every writer since, and Zach contests that it was before Mackie Byrne, but I contest it was like immediately after One More Day was
really the street level stuff. There hasn't been like a definitive street level run really since.
And also the abandonment of like real consequences to someone learning his identity.
Yeah.
But like Cindy kind of having to fight this witch, and like they even tease like, oh, she's probably gonna fail, and I'm like, I would be interested in seeing where we go with that. I'm kind of invested in this.
I can 1,000% agree with that. That's
Give
interesting.
F's about the Savage Spider-Man title. Don't care.
Okay, we reviewed this on Satellites. The takeaway is no one gave a shit. Not even Kelly. Kelly reviewed the book, and even she was like, I don't give a shit. So that should tell you about how little anyone cares about this book.
The premise does nothing for me. So
isn't
yeah,
it like a bunch of eugenicists who just want like pure-blooded race people, and they just stranded Spider-Man on Baron Zemo on a deserted island?
How they on the cover they just take the nonstop Spider-Man logo and then just write Savage on it.
I get what they're doing with it, but it just comes across as lazy.
Just because it's Joe Kelly writing. And I'm like,
it technically does continue from nonstop, doesn't it? That's what I heard.
It does, yeah. And then what else is there? Knights of X-Men.
That the trade paperbacks collection, maybe.
Ooh, do we have some new epics coming out?
We're getting a spectacular Spider-Man omnibus. So JMD Mateus, here we come. Eventually.
I guess we might see Silk in this. It's Marvel Voice Identity. This is always the one that has the Asian characters.
That'd be cool.
Always see Silk in that. Ghost Rider, Avengers. I hate Jason Aaron so much.
Wow. All right.
I'll get ready for
I
more. Like they're
Soderman's art.
stuff.
Years Forever, Iron Man, Fantastic Four, Eternals, Black Panther.
Eternals.
I'm loving She-Hulk right now.
I need to pick that up. I need to read that. I've heard some good things, but the Eternals has not been a bad series. Don't sleep on that series. Kieran Gillen's killing it on that.
Moon Knight. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Go back to that cover. Go back to that cover. That is a comic book cover right there.
Kenography.
That is a comic book cover. Give me. That's fucking beautiful.
Silver Surfer Rebirth, Captain Marvel.
Binary, excuse me.
Thompson's Captain Marvel is still going. Jesus Christ.
It's what I've read has been good, man. Whatever has been good.
Okay, here's the thing. It's good, but I keep forgetting it exists.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Iron Fist, Shang-Chi, The Marvels, Deadpool, Alien, King Conan, Obi-Wan. Okay, Star Wars. Okay, let's see.
Ooh, Miracle Man.
I'm gonna be so
Dang,
upset. I'm gonna be so tired if Donny Cates is revealed to be the writer for.
I will rage. I will rage if I don't think it's gonna happen. Sorry, Mankman.
How much you want to bet?
What's that?
I said how much you want to bet?
There's no way. There's no way Cates writes Miracle Man. I just you go from Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, Donny Cates. That seems
so.
Ultimate
Spider-Man omnibus. So it's collecting Ultimate Spider-Man number 40 through 71 and Ultimate 6 number 1 through 7.
So basically,
almost one artist throughout the entire 40 issues. One artist.
It's a dying breed, my friend.
What happened?
With Quesada and Harrison. American work, not American work ethic, but like American labor rights got better.
That's the only reason that there's any other artists in there is because they did the Ultimate 6 crossover.
Spec Omnibus, baby.
There it is. Volume 1.
And there's some great stuff in there with Mantlo when he takes over, man. Mantlo's stuff is so much fun.
Issues?
Let's see. Spec number 1 to 42 and annual number 1, ASM annual number 13, and Fantastic Four number 218.
I want to say Mantlo does spot duty between 1 and like 12 the first year. Then after between issue 10 and like 15 somewhere in there, he takes over for like a long time, and it's so much fun, man.
The first Carrion stories collected in there, like that.
Yeah.
That's Mantlo, baby. Mantlo.
Spider-Verse, Spider-Geddon Omnibus. Let's see. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Edge of Spider-Verse number 1 through 5. Spider-Verse number 1 through 2. Superior Spider-Man number 32 through 33. Amazing Spider-Man number 7 through 15. Spider-Man 2089 number 5 through 8. Scarlet Spiders number 1 through 3. Spider-Woman number 1 through 4. Spider-Verse Team Up number 1 through 3. Edge of Spider-Geddon number 1 through 4, Spider-Geddon number 0 through 5, Superior Octopus number 1, Spider-Force number 1 through 3, Spider-Girls number 1 through 3, Peter Parker Spec number 311 through 313, Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider number 1 through 4, Vault of Spiders number 1 through 2, Spider-Geddon Spider-Man Noir video comic.
This is a lot.
Spider-Geddon, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider video comic, Spider-Geddon, Spider-Man video comic, Spider-Geddon handbook and material from Free Comic Book Day 2014. What the hell? Oh, is that a teaser for Spider-Verse, the Free Comic Book Day 2014?
Comic Day thing, yeah.
Okay. Star Wars Legends, She-Hulk by Slott.
Nope.
Fantastic Four by Byrne.
That's legendary stuff right there, Holmes.
Dark
She-Hulk?
What?
Yeah, by Dan Slott.
You didn't like the She-Hulk's his She-Hulk run?
I gotta be honest. What I've read,
Interesting.
A lot of people love it, and I know it was high praise at the time, but it's just
it's not John Byrne She-Hulk.
It's too much Android Andy stuff. To be honest, I know that was a fan favorite character, but it's too much.
You know what really started? Dark Ages really started off strong, but it just kind of devolved into like Injustice 2, where characters just die left and right for shock value.
I just don't care about this. This kind of stuff just never does anything for me. I'm like, cool, I don't care.
I like Peter being a dad for 2 pages. King Conan, Shang-Chi. I'm probably gonna go get this one, and I need to pick up the series in paperback. Eternals, She-Hulk by Rainbow Rowell.
Get Eternals, man. Eternals is good.
Ben Reilly trade paperback. So
I'm waiting to read this in trade, to be honest.
Ben Reilly or
Yeah, because I don't. I'm only getting the floppies of Amazing. Everything else, I'm trying to get trades of.
Rain effects.
And you're missing out on Ben Reilly, or at least.
No. I may read it for when we interview JMD, but yeah, I don't like. I just
What is
as far as
this?
collecting wise.
Spoilers! You spoiled it.
No, he didn't, Zach.
Okay. That is Saint Pierre, and that is Tooth and Claw. That was a big miniseries in the 90s.
Why
And
does Wolverine look like he's having a stroke?
what is what?
Why does Wolverine look like he's having a stroke?
Because the anatomy is all wonky.
Oh, Amazing Spider-Man collection, Man Wolf at Midnight. Of course, it doesn't have Man Wolf on the cover. So.
I might have to pick that one up. That's right after the my Gwen Stacy epic that he put out.
It is.
It's ASM number 124 to 142 and Giant Size Superheroes number 1.
Oh, so it ends with the first appearance of Punisher and
yeah, because Conway's out at that point. So and that is some great Spider-Man stuff in there.
Okay,
but he's
Marvel Masterworks Volume 3, The Goblin of the Gangsters, collecting ASM number 20 through 28 and ASM Annual number 2.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yep, and what were they doing before that? Oh yeah, they're doing the Heroes Return Fantastic Four.
Is She-Hulk only a 5-issue mini?
I don't know.
Because they build it as an ongoing, but like on Comixology, it says that it and Silk are both 5-issue minis.
Interesting. We'll see. All right, so we have long episode.
Also, Jen Bartel covers are unbeatable.
Yeah, they're really good. All right, so gentlemen, I'll restate what we kind of talked about at the top of the episode. ASM Classics Season 2 going to be starting March 22nd. By the time you audio listeners hear that, it may be out, available on that particular feed. So be sure to subscribe to that particular show when the new episodes come out with Jack and Hobby. We also have a new show that's coming to the network that has a bit of a backlog of episodes, but it's taking a little hiatus right now, and as we shift it from one network to another. It is pretty spectacular in terms of its content, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. As we get things kind of ironed out more and further, we will give you more details, but that is so I think now we have, let's see, let's count the amount of shows that are part of the network. That new show, ASM Classics, Spec Radio, Clone Saga Chronicles, Make My Mayday, this show, so we're now up to 6. No, Broken Rider Variety Hour as well, and then the Comic Binge is a affiliated
absolutely
show, as well. So I mean, we really got 8 now on the network.
What about the slot debates, man?
Slot debates. That is my plan. Also, the commentaries. So the slot debates and commentaries, they're going to be Patreon first, and we will. The slot debates will be Patreon first, but we'll put them out onto the general public. We also have a couple of interviews that I'm trying to nail down until we absolutely know. I won't say what and who yet. For one of them. One of them had to reschedule, so we haven't. I'm glad we haven't made the formal announcement yet. Did I make the formal announcement? I don't remember. Let me know in the comments section below. But with that, gents, I'm going to start wrapping. Final thoughts from around the panel. Neil, final thoughts.
I had a great time until we talked about that last issue.
Adam, final thoughts.
Read the Ben Reilly series.
Read Silk.
Yeah, and I need to read Silk because I did like what we read that one time we reviewed it for a Comic Binge, Neil, and we still have to talk about Next Wave. I read that just for you, Neil. I read Next Wave.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna have to figure out a time when I can actually be on Comic Binge when it's not happening when I am dead ass asleep. which is what I'll be doing.
We're gonna get you on, man. We just gotta like get the right time. So
that's fair. That's fair. So check out Bogan Rider Variety Hour on twitch.tv/Quillsniv. That's where you have your own button. I don't even know where you're at, Neil.
I think we deleted it.
Did we delete it? Oh, okay. But you can always go to Comic Binge YouTube channel. Check that out. Subscribe. Also, subscribe to Mr. Comic YouTube channel as well. At Herman22 on Twitter. At Quillsniv on Twitter for Neil. At Enchilada Legs for Adam, if you want to follow Adam. And then, of course, you can follow me on Twitter as well. At Spideydude Radio. At Spideydude without the radio part. So, with that, we'll turn it over. If you want to leave a voicemail, we have not had any voicemails in a long time. I don't want to resort to going back old school and resorting to killing teddy bears. I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. So leave us a voicemail, 818-925-6631. If you want to be a part of this show, Clone Saga Chronicles, Make My Mayday. I forgot about Voices from the Area when I was mentioning the different shows as well. So if you want to check out our other shows, you can always go to Spidey-Dude.com. That is the home of the network. Of course, you have our YouTube page. Be sure to give us a like, share, and subscribe. All those that have done that. We've got some new subscribers recently. Thank you for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you're watching the replay of this particular show. All right, so at Spideydude Radio, at Spideydude Network on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. And we will see you guys next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network Spideydude Experience. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, guys.